Chapter 865. Shi Yi's face was already red from anger. This is not only insulting my snake, this is also insulting my face. She actually pulled out Kuan Snake's tooth. How is this possible? Kuan Snake's tooth is not inferior to a prehistoric godly item, and she actually pulled it out. This is definitely impossible. Shouldn't such a naive little girl be playing under her mother's knees and asking for sweets to eat? And that hand of hers is made from a prehistoric godly item. Originally, Fan Jin was already very shocked when Kai Yun grabbed onto Kuan Snake's neck, but when he saw that the little girl actually pulled out Kuan Snake's poisonous tooth, Fan Jin felt a little dizzy. The reason why the Kuan Snake was so rare was because it was a living desolate era godly item. A living desolate era godly item was much better than some weapons. Even a species like the Kuan Snake could be compared to a desolate era godly item. Yet this little girl is actually playing with it in her hands like she is catching a chicken. For some reason, Fan Jin felt that it is better for me to leave. But if I leave now, do I not want my face anymore? Even a snake wants its face, and I am a Peak Dozun. Do I not want my face anymore? Great God, Fan Jin, this. Mu Xinhai was also a little confused. That panicked look of his was comparable to Fan Jin's. Why are all the little girls from Wushu Empire so savage? The last one was crushed, this one is pulled out. Do you all still want your face? Is there anyone who fights like this? This is clearly slapping their own faces. When Fan Jin saw that Mu Xinhai turned around, his expression immediately changed. It's fine with me around, they won't be able to cause any trouble. That's good. Hearing the great god's words, Mu Xinhai heaved a sigh of relief. At least Fan Jin is still confident. However, what Mu Xinhai didn't know was that Fan Jin is not confident at all. Right now he is also panicking, and even feels that he shouldn't have come today. He is a little regretful what to do. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu's faces were also filled with shock. Shi Yu didn't really understand and asked, "Is this Kuan Snake's tooth that easy to pull out?" No. It's not easy at all. This Kuan Snake's tooth can even bite through meteoric iron. There has never been a record in history that a Kuan Snake is afraid of its tooth. This little girl is even more savage than the last one. We have underestimated Wushu Empire's strength. Xiang Liren was now certain that Wushu Empire was filled with hidden tigers and crouching dragons. Shi Yu even felt that the person in the wheelchair was actually the weakest. These people were the main force of Voidless Empire. Little Girls Guild. This might be the most pitiful Kuan Snake in history, to be humiliated like this. Shi Yu sighed with emotion in the end. He realized that it was a wise choice for him to run away. God bless the Three Absolute Palace. Xiang Liren felt the same way. Release my snake. Shi Yu roared, appearing very malevolent. The Kuan snake was one of his most important snake species. In fact, he had raised it since it was young and treated it like his own child. Now that he saw his own child fall into the hands of others and have his teeth pulled out in public, how could he bear such a great humiliation? Kai Yun grabbed the already stiff Kuan snake and said delightedly, "Wait a moment, I still haven't played enough. Isn't that right, little snake?" Right now, Kuan snake was already stupefied. Where is this place? Why did I get caught? I lost my memories. I definitely lost my memories. Let me take a nap. Just like that, Kai Yun watched as the Kuan snake went limp. Instantly he cried out in alarm and lifted the Kuan snake up. "Little snake, what's wrong with you? Hurry up and wake up." After saying that, he patted the Kuan snake's head. "Stop hitting it. You savage woman." Shi Yu was already on the verge of going berserk. Just like that, he watched as his child was being patted. Meanwhile, even after Kai Yun patted the Kuan snake for a long time, the Kuan snake still didn't wake up. "I'm returning it to you, it's boring." Kai Yun could be seen directly tossing the Kuan snake over to Shi Yu. Shi Yu caught hold of the Kuan snake and discovered that the Kuan snake was no longer breathing. "You actually tried to kill it. Why are you so vicious? You are a snake and scorpion woman." Shi Yu cursed at Kai Yun. This Kuan snake is so cute, yet it was actually slapped to death. I have never seen such a heartless girl before. She is even more heartless than the one just now. Kai Yun was unconvinced as he pouted his small mouth and said, "How am I vicious? I only slapped it a few times. Who knew that your little snake would be so weak? You. Today, I am going to hang your corpse at the city gate and expose it to the sun. It's freezing, Kaiyan reminded. How can there be any exposure to the sun here? This person truly doesn't know anything. Anything is fine, look at my snake. Ah, do you still have snakes? Quickly let me play with them. Come out, silver-winged great snake. Shi shouted angrily, and another snake flew out from his sleeves. However, it didn't attack towards Kaiyan, and instead landed at the side. This was a pitch-black snake with 3 eyes, and one of the eyes grew above the other 2 eyes, appearing very strange. Wah, just how many snakes are inside your clothes? Kaiyan cried out in surprise. He really wanted to strip off Shi's clothes and see how many more snakes were hidden inside his sleeves. I'm not telling you, Shi said casually. After saying that, he felt that something was wrong. Why did I say such words? It makes me seem like I am a child. Damn it, I have been led astray by this little girl. Silver-winged great snake, let the world see your true appearance. Hiss hiss hiss. The pitch-black silver-winged great snake suddenly expanded rapidly, and in 2 breaths' time, it became a huge snake that was 300 meters tall. This kind of height had already reached the height of the city wall, perhaps even higher, because half of it was still coiled on the ground. Wah! Kaiyan couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Even Lai Gu, who was on the city wall, was shocked. It seems like I haven't eaten a snake for a very long time. Although this silver-winged great snake isn't a super tonic, it can still nourish the body. My precious Yu Hua and my 3 wives all need nourishment. Should I stew it or roast it? What Lai Gu was thinking in his heart was what Kaiyan was thinking in his heart. Such a big lump of snake. How long do I have to eat it? I might as well have a snake stew festival in the whole city. Everyone will be very happy. I am really looking forward to it. Snake Stew Street, it sounds interesting. Are you afraid? Do you think that this is the end? That is impossible. Shi sneered, and a peak stage Emperor Aura was released. Armor of Spirit Root. Dragon Tiger Nail. Giant Seal. Flower Cloud Demonic Peace. Following Shi's shout, an armor appeared on the body of the silver-winged great snake, covering its entire body. On the surface of the armor, countless objects that looked like teeth appeared, emitting a cold aura. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, flashing imprints appeared, seemingly causing the defense of the armor of Spirit Root to become even stronger. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, many strange flowers also appeared. These flowers carried the aura of death, announcing their arrival. End of this chapter. Chapter 866. A powerful aura burst forth from the silver-winged serpent's body. This was a snake with a lot of buffs. Although this silver-winged snake was slightly weaker than the Kuan snake, with these buffs it was much stronger than the Kuan snake. The Kuan serpent was used for sneak attacks, catching people off guard. However, this silver-winged serpent was used for frontal attacks. To put it bluntly, this snake could destroy an entire empire. This snake is so powerful. It feels like it has the strength of a Dozun. Shiryu exclaimed. It had swelled up just after it was released. At that time, it felt that it only had the strength of a Do-Di. However, with the addition of those chi methods, it had directly broken through to the Dozun class. Xiang Liren simply said, I've already told you, Shi is a snake player. This silver-winged serpent is one of his trump cards. Today he used it and it was an eye-opener for me. If Shi breaks through to the Supreme Being stage, I'm afraid this snake will be ranked among the prehistoric beasts. What? Prehistoric ferocious beast? Shiryu was so shocked that he was speechless. If this Shi had really reached the level of a Supreme Being, and could even make a snake reach the level of a primordial beast, then it would be shocking. After all, being able to command a primordial beast was an extremely terrifying thing. At this moment, Mushinhai finally smiled. Looks like Shi is still hiding some strength. This silver-winged serpent is indeed powerful. It is already a rank 1 Dozun. Although Mushinhai was smiling, he was a little uneasy in his heart. This was because Shi's trump card was indeed terrifying. After all, he was only a rank 2 Dozun while he was only at the peak of the Do-Di class. Yet he had a Dozun pet and could fight with him. He could only say that Shuri was too good at hiding. He had to be more careful in the future. Shuri had no other choice. He didn't want to use this move, but the Kuan snake's death made Shuri angry. He revealed his trump card. Fan Jin, who was standing at the side, was not happy at all. Based on the little girl's move just now, the snake should be able to handle it. Now he was only hoping, but he was wrong. However, how could someone at the peak of the Dozun class make a wrong judgment? However, when the millions of people saw this scene, they instantly cheered, and their morale reached its peak. Kill! 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 Battle cries rang out from outside the city, piercing through the clouds. An austere aura immediately engulfed the entire battlefield. When Shuri heard such a murderous aura, his blood began to boil. Silver-winged serpent! Eat this heartless man in front of you! Shuri bellowed, and the huge silver-winged serpent seemed to understand him. His body instantly began to spiral, and he looked down on Kai Yun. The sturdy head instantly smashed towards Kai Yun. The armor that wrapped around the head of the silver-winged serpent suddenly blossomed with a gorgeous color, and the ferocious spikes were like a blooming flower. Faced with the ferocious silver-winged colossal snake, Kai Yun grinned and said, "Wow, how can I eat such a big lump? There's too much." Boom. The silver-winged serpent crashed heavily into the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. A berserk airwave spread out in all directions, and even the battleship that was in the sky started to sway slightly. However, when it came into contact with the city wall, there was no reaction at all. No one saw this because they were all looking to see if the little girl was dead or not. However, Fan Jin witnessed this scene. Such a powerful shockwave was actually unable to cause any damage to the city walls. Furthermore, he had clearly sensed a fluctuation of aura from the city walls just now. There must be something guarding it. If I didn't sense it carefully, I wouldn't have noticed it. Look at that Mushinhai, there was no reaction at all. To be able to do this, perhaps only an overlord would be able to do it. If that's the case, this Wushu Empire has an overlord. F***ck. Didn't this damned Mushinhai say that this is just a small empire? This fucking small empire actually has an overlord, and he even dragged me here to die. How about I leave right now? Face is small, but life is still very precious. Just as Fan Jin was thinking of running away, his gaze suddenly became astonished. How is this possible? There is actually someone who sealed the space. And I actually didn't notice it at all. It's over. Even I didn't notice it at all. There is probably really an overlord in the city. This time, I am really screwed over by Mushinhai. I don't even have the chance to escape, and this group of fools is still cheering. Can you all grow a heart? Other people are just playing around. F***ck. No wonder other people are still opening the city gates, completely not putting everyone in their eyes. And that man on top of the city walls, the smile on the corner of his mouth is still there. That man is most likely even more savage. Mu Xinhai looked at the scene and didn't notice the changes in Fan Jin. In Mu Xinhai's heart, this Wushu Empire is just like a piece of paper, and as long as I give the order, the city gates will immediately be broken. Everything will be plundered, and this Wushu Empire will become my Yuanyang Manor's territory. And I will be living in the palace. This is such a thing that I yearn for. At the scene, when the smoke dispersed, the silver-winged great snake could be seen to still be in an attacking posture. But as long as one observed carefully, one would notice that the silver-winged great snake's body was slightly trembling, as if it was using a lot of strength, but it was useless. Pooh. A pair of wings could be seen unfolding on the silver-winged great snake's body. It wasn't without reason that it was called silver-winged great snake. A pair of wings allowed it to have the ability to fight in the air, and it was simply a battle tool that could be used in the air, land, and sea. Shuri was a bit confused. Why is my silver-winged great snake able to unfold its wings? This doesn't make sense. Furthermore, it seems like it is flying backwards. That's right now, the silver-winged great snake was indeed flying backwards. Its pair of huge wings were flapping crazily, and strong gales swept through the entire battlefield. Ayab, don't run. Suddenly, a young and tender voice rang out, and everyone heard it. However, after hearing it, everyone's expression changed greatly. and the cheers from just now immediately disappeared. The size of the silver-winged great snake was very big, and Kaiyun was just like a black dot in front of it. Furthermore, there was also a deep pit in front of it, and no one knew what was going on. But after hearing what Kaiyun said, everyone realized what was going on. This little girl is humiliating a great snake in front of everyone again. Why must you be so savage, to actually humiliate an innocent great snake? Doing such a thing will make people despise you. Right now, the silver-winged great snake's entire body was floating in the air, as if its head was stuck, and it was trying its best to struggle free. And it was even letting out a strange wail. Along with the silver-winged great snake floating in the air, the situation in the pit also appeared. Kaiyun could be seen grabbing onto the silver-winged great snake's teeth. With a smile on her face, she said, "Don't I want to eat snake meat for breakfast?" The silver-winged great snake seemed to be able to understand Kaiyun's words, and it flew backwards even more desperately. However, no matter how much strength it used, it was still tightly grabbed onto by the little girl. "I'm recommending a book to a friend. You can't afford to offend this big uncle, so it's fine to leave a few comments. I've been very busy these few days, so there aren't many updates, but it will recover in the future. Thank you all for your support, and I also have to apologize." End of this chapter. Chapter 867. Everyone was shocked by this scene. The size of the silver-winged snake was huge, yet it was being held back by a smaller figure. This contrast was quite unbearable. It was like a salted fish holding back a moving aircraft carrier. This was an unscientific thing. How is this possible? Mu Xinhai involuntarily shouted. His face was filled with disbelief. This was a Dozun-level silver-winged snake, yet this little girl was able to hold it back. This silver-winged snake was struggling crazily, yet it was unable to move the little girl at all. Mu Xinhai, who was in shock, hurriedly turned around and looked at Fan Jin. Fan Jin's current shock was no less than Mu Xinhai's. In fact, it was even greater. However, seeing Mu Xinhai turn around, Fan Jin had no choice but to pretend to be calm. His expression immediately changed. "Great God, Fan Jin, what do you think?" "There is nothing to be afraid of," Fan Jin said faintly. However, he was already cursing in his heart. There is nothing to be afraid of. I have been tricked to death by you. Now, I don't even have the chance to escape. What kind of empire is this? It is even more terrifying than Broken Meridian Sect and Shen Academy. They are all perverts. Hearing Fan Jin's words, Mu Xinhai felt a lot more at ease. After all, these words represented the confidence of a peak Dozun. Looks like I have invited the right person. When Shiryu and Xiang Liren saw this scene, sweat flowed out from their foreheads. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were drenched in sweat. They couldn't help but look at the entire Wusu Empire. They thought to themselves, what kind of empire is this? Such a big thing happened. Yet the city seems to be quiet. There is no sign of panic. Could it be that the people living in this city are all supremes? Otherwise, how can they be so calm? This is a Dozun leading people to attack. Can you guys show some attitude? This will really hurt the confidence of a Dozun. These two little girls are really too perverted. Xiang Liren couldn't help but say. That twin-tailed little girl was already very awesome. I didn't expect this one to be even more awesome. Just now, I thought that it was going to be over. Who knew that it wasn't like this? My worries are really unnecessary. Looks like my life is saved today. However, here comes the problem. There is still a peak Dozun, Fan Jin. Would this voidless empire be able to handle it? Lai Gu shouted at Kaiyun. Quickly drag it in, we will eat snake meat today. Alright, Kaiyun said happily. Then he took a step back and saw that the struggling silver-winged serpent was being pulled. The huge silver-winged serpent was actually being pulled. Everyone was lying. This was simply too easy. Look at that little girl's face. There was no other expression at all. It was as if she was pulling a dog. Silver-winged serpent. Attack. Shiryu bellowed furiously. However, the silver-winged serpent was already in a state of panic. It simply couldn't hear Shiryu's orders and flapped its wings fiercely. Kaiyun snorted. The little fellow is really disobedient. Little fellow? Everyone was thunderstruck by Yin Kai's words. Who would dare say that this silver-winged serpent was a small fellow? It was obviously a big fellow. It was long, thick, and very black. Anyone who saw it would be afraid. Shuri felt like she was going crazy. In her eyes, the silver-winged serpent had become a little fellow. Open your eyes. Shuri bellowed. The silver-winged serpent's third eye suddenly opened, and a terrifying pressure condensed. Under the terrifying pressure, even the ground trembled. However, this kind of trembling didn't spread into the city, as it was very well protected. Shiryu exclaimed. This attack. It's very terrifying. That's right, this is the full power attack of a Dozun. This little girl is going to die. Xiang Liren was also a bit lacking in confidence. After all, this was a silver-winged serpent. Kai Yin looked at the light beam that was currently condensing in front of her. She didn't pay attention to it at all, and continued to retreat step by step. As more and more Do-Chi condensed in the light beam grew, the entire air started to tremble. The enormous light beam illuminated Kai Yun's young and tender little face. Even now she was still smiling. This made everyone very uncomfortable. Facing this kind of attack, can you be a bit more serious? Even if it's just withdrawing that smile, it's fine. You keep smiling, it feels as if you are just playing around. Can you be a bit more serious? The silver-winged serpent couldn't take it anymore. This little girl actually dared to humiliate it in front of everyone. This attack is going to send her to meet her father. Boom. The condensing was finally completed. A silver light beam shot out from its eyes, bringing along a ferocious and surging evil aura. It attacked towards Kai Yun's body. Just this light beam alone was a lot bigger than Kai Yun's body. Kai Yun naturally saw it. However, his expression still didn't change, and with a young and tender smile on his face, he stretched out his hand and slapped, "Pa!" This slap felt as if it was slapped onto the faces of a million people. It hurt so much. However, what happened next caused everyone to be stupefied. Because Kai Yun slapped the light beam away with a single slap. Just like a V-shaped trajectory, this ferocious light beam directly flew towards the 10 battleships. Before that terrifying aura even reached the 10 battleships, a lot of people had already evaporated. Boom, boom, boom. The light beam could be seen directly passing through 2 battleships, but the battleships did not explode and directly flew towards the horizon. Because the battleships were completely unworthy of exploding. A single battleship had a total of 100,000 people. However, just a while ago, 200,000 people directly evaporated, and the battleships directly turned into fireballs and fell from the sky. Boom boom. 2 loud sounds suddenly rang out. Everyone didn't manage to react in time, and they were all stupefied. What happened just now? Mu Xinhai even rubbed his eyes, feeling that this is fake. The enemy must have used a hateful illusion. He actually directly slapped away such a terrifying attack. Furthermore, he even killed 200,000 of my disciples. This is fake. This is simply too fake. Fan Jin's entire person felt unwell. This little girl. This can already be confirmed. She is an overlord. That attack just now. Even I am unable to slap away the attack. Even if I am able to slap away the attack, I would need to rely on tools to do so. However, how could this little girl have any tools? She just casually slapped away the attack. Without reaching the strength of an overlord. How is it possible for her to do that? It's over, I kicked an iron plate this time. Fan Jin only wants Mu Xinhai to not turn around and let me, Fan Jin, be depressed for a while. If not, I still have to put on an act for you to see. There must be something wrong with my brain, to actually agree to such a thing. Right now, I have to think of a way to save myself. Xiang Liren was currently astonished, and he mumbled. This little girl most likely has the strength of an overlord. What? Overlord? Shiryu was shocked after hearing that. That's right, to directly slap away such a terrifying attack, only someone with respect would be able to do so. Xiang Liren said gravely. If this little girl is an overlord, then the previous one might also be an overlord. Also, those who are standing on top of the city walls, it can't be that they are all overlords, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 868. Just what kind of country is this voidless empire? Why are there so many honorable martial artists? Luckily, I managed to escape. Otherwise, I would definitely be dead today. At this moment, Shi was completely stunned. His silver-winged serpent's ultimate move had been slapped away, and even slapped into the group of battle arcs, instantly killing 200,000 disciples. The fire was still burning. This girl was too cruel. She didn't give them any hope. Release my snake. Shi unleashed the strength of a peak dodi. A curved sword agglomerated in his hand. It should be a snake blade. Kai Yun, who was in the midst of shedding her snake, snorted. You're very annoying. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. Die. Shi, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, pointed his sword at Kai Yun's forehead. Kai Yun suddenly whispered, You should still have snakes in your clothes, right? You might as well take them out, and let me roast them and eat them. Arrogant. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. One could see the snake blade in Shi's hand emitting an intense glow. It involuntarily caused one to raise one's hand to block it. This peak of the Dodi class was no joke. Kai Yun once again extended his small hand, slapping the silver-winged serpent's head. The silver-winged serpent, which had been struggling violently, was stunned, and its huge body fell to the ground with a loud bang. Then Kai Yun looked towards the oncoming Shi with a mocking gaze. When Shi met Kai Yun's gaze, he instantly had a bad feeling. However, right at this moment, a voice rang out by his ear. Is there really a snake in your sleeve? Shi suddenly turned his head, and found that the little girl was on the same level as him. That's not right. Wasn't it in front? How did it end up beside him? Without waiting for Shi to react, Kai Yun grabbed onto Shi's arm. Then he pulled. Shi let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell to the ground. Meanwhile, when Kai Yun grabbed onto Shi's arm and shook it, he discovered that there was absolutely no snake within Shi's sleeve. That's not right. All the snakes came out from his sleeves. Where are the snakes? Where did he go? Kai Yun casually swung Shi's arm, and Shi's arm fell to the side. Is he hiding at the other side? Stingy. Petty. Everyone was shocked by Kai Yun's brutality. Tearing the arm of a peak dodi was something that had never been seen before. After all, who would tear the arm of a dodi, other than this little girl? He had actually torn off the arm of a dodi while he was still alive. He even said that others were stingy. Then, if someone were to be generous, would you tear their entire body apart? Mu Xinhai swallowed his saliva. This Shi was at the peak of the dodi class. He already had half a foot in the dozun class. Was it so easy to break his arm? It was obviously not that simple, but this girl actually did it. She pulled it off alive. Mu Xinhai turned around. Fan Jin's shocked expression changed instantly, and he looked as if he had a card up his sleeve. When Mu Xinhai saw Fan Jin's expression, he felt much more at ease. He still had a super strong helper, and he would definitely be able to kill off the experts from Wushu Empire. Then he would kill those two traitors with his own hands. Fan Jin really wanted to hide. He really didn't want to think about anything else. Upon seeing this scene, Shiryu's heart almost stopped. I had thought that this girl was a cute girl, but I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. This girl was actually even more savage than the previous girl. Xiang Liren didn't want to speak anymore. If he hadn't flown out, he might have ended up like Shuri. Fortunately, he was smart. Fortunately, the heavens are protecting me. Lai Gu looked at Kai Yun with a smile. After Kai Yun leaves, I will definitely be the one to go on stage. This is great. After all, there aren't many experts left on the other side, and the remaining experts are all salted fishes that don't have any skills. Wait, these experts don't seem to have any skills. They are all helping His Honor to share his worries. That is the responsibility of a subordinate. Let His Honor have a good rest. Let me, Lai Gu, take care of these salted fishes. Suddenly, Lai Gu heard footsteps coming from the stairs again. Why? Why is there someone else coming again? Can't you let me, Lai Gu, act cool for a bit? As the footsteps got closer and closer, Lai Gu swallowed his saliva. Listening to the footsteps, it should be a female. Who could it be? Could it be Brett? Please don't let it be Brett. I love this kind of scene the most. Don't. Hubby, you are here. Did you see the flag master? Yu Hua could be seen walking over while wearing a blue robe. Lai Gu let out a breath. Damn it. I was scared to death. Quickly bring your flag master away. Who are those people? Yu Hua looked towards the sky and asked curiously. Lai Gu hugged onto Yu Hua's willowy waist. Hubby, quickly bring your flag master away. She is tearing apart other people, look. Yu Hua didn't mind Lai Gu's intimate action. Looking down from the city wall. My flag master is really tearing apart other people. However, I don't have any other thoughts. Flag master, time to go home and eat. Yu Hua shouted towards Kai Yun. Right now, Kai Yun was currently holding on to Shi Yi's other arm. Suddenly, he heard Yu Hua's voice and looked towards the city wall, then shouted out sweetly. I know we are going to eat snake this morning, look here, what a big snake. Oh then flag master, hurry up. Alright, let me see if he is still hiding any other snakes or not. Kai Yun smiled sweetly, then tore apart. Ah. Shi Yi's mind was about to collapse. I, a dignified peak stage Do emperor, was actually dismembered by a little girl in front of everyone's eyes. Impossible. How did it become like this? Shouldn't the normal plot be me and the others attacking Wushu Empire, then killing people? Why did I get killed instead? This is simply a nightmare. Hearing the conversation between the little girl and the woman on the city wall, the remaining people felt that they had gone crazy. Such a cruel scene. And you all actually still have the mood to chat and talk about eating breakfast. Just what kind of people are these people? Suddenly, I thought of something. The woman on the city wall seemed to have told the little girl to go home and eat. Quickly go back, listen to your mother, go home and eat. Children shouldn't get involved in the matters of adults. This is not right. In the future, don't act recklessly, and even more so, don't casually tear apart other people's arms and legs. Remember, this is a bad child. At this moment, Kai Yun shook his sleeves and asked curiously, just where are you hiding your snakes? Why aren't there any inside your sleeves? Right now, both of Shi Yi's arms were missing. A large amount of blood was flowing out from his wounds, and his entire face was deathly pale. I was humiliated, and she didn't want to kill me. She was instead looking for snakes. Why would I have such a thought? If you want snakes, just say it. I have a lot of them. Why did you tear apart my arms just because of a disagreement? Can't you have a proper conversation? It couldn't have slipped into your pants, right? Kai Yun cried out in surprise, then stretched out his hand and grabbed onto Shi Yi's thigh. End of this chapter. Chapter 869. Before Shi Yi could speak, he felt a pain in his thigh. Such a cruel scene made everyone uncomfortable. This was an amputation in front of everyone. Everyone felt a chill on their backs. This scene was really shocking. That was an expert at the peak of the Do D class. Yet he had been tortured to death. Do Zhes and Do Shi's like them were not even enough to fill the gap between their teeth. Kai Yun, who was in the middle of the battlefield, shook his head and realized that there were no snakes. He pursed his lips and reached out to grab the other leg. No, Shi Yi shouted in a deep voice. He had no other choice. This little girl was too strong, so strong that he could not resist. Where are your snakes hidden? In your head? Kai Yun asked curiously. He reached out to grab his head. This scared Shi Yi so much that he almost **t himself. He could think of a way if he lost his limbs, but if he lost his head, there was really no way. No. Then they are on my leg. No. Then where are they? Kai Yun asked curiously. My home. I still have many at home. When the time comes, I'll give them all to you, okay? Shi Yi begged for mercy. He did not dare to boast anymore. He regretted jumping down. Look at Yang Yao. He had died so easily. He had been killed with one punch without any pain. Look at himself. He had been humiliated in front of everyone, and had his leg amputated. Don't think that Kai Yun did not know anything. As the boss of the 5 flags, Kai Yun's cruelty was outrageous. His favorite thing to do was to tear people apart while they were still alive. Looking at Yu Hua on the city tower, she did not stop him because she knew Kai Yun's hobby. You lied to me. You lied to me to go to your home. You're so bad. After Kai Yun finished speaking, he grabbed his remaining leg. A painful cry resounded between heaven and earth. This was the painful cry of a Do Di. At this moment, Mu Xinhai was frozen. This was the first time he had seen such a cruel little girl. She could be compared to the demons from 10 years ago. She was simply inhumane. Fan Jin had already closed his eyes, looking as if he could not see anything and did not want to see anything. Still nothing. You liar. I hate liars the most. Kaiyan snorted delicately and grabbed the snake blade beside him. As a peak Dodi, Shi was still alive. It was just very painful. However, his entire body was suppressed and he was unable to move at all. Only now did he realize how powerful this little girl was. Their strength was simply not on the same level. It must be in your body, right? Little liar, do you think I don't know? Kai Yun grinned, but in Shi Yi's eyes, this grin was a terrifying sinister grin. No. No. I won't lie to you. Please don't hurt me. Hee. Kai Yun held the serpent blade in his hand and gently sliced open Shi Yi's robe. He didn't expect Shi Yi to have muscles. Everyone held their breaths. With such a thing happening, no one dared to rush down to save him. This was the intimidation that came from Kai Yun, and he was much stronger than Yi Zizi. At the very least, his method of killing made one's scalp go numb. Kai Yun held the serpent blade in his hand and pressed it against Shi Yi's Adam's apple. It's definitely inside your body, and I've discovered it, right? No. Kai Yun revealed a young and tender smile, directly stabbing in, and then slicing open. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Ripper, an expert at the peak of the Emperor realm, had his limbs amputated, and then his chest cut open in front of everyone. This wasn't a little girl. This was a savage demon. Sure, you couldn't bear to watch anymore, and directly turned around. Meanwhile, although Xiang Liren was still watching, his gaze revealed an expression of shock. This was truly the first time he had seen such a scene, and the degree of shock was incomparable. Then he looked at the man and woman on the city wall. That man was hugging the woman and looking at the scene with a smile, not showing the slightest bit of disgust. Meanwhile, that woman was the same, appearing to be very calm. F***ck. Just who are these people? Why can they be so cruel to such an extent? However, Xiang Liren was also thinking that if Voidless Empire couldn't do it, then the cruelty would fall on them, and even on him. After all, this was a place where strength reigned supreme. The people who were originally clamoring all quietened down. Cold wind whistled on the battlefield. Kai Yun took a glance and said, there's nothing at all. Liar. I'm not playing with you anymore. Kai Yun directly tossed away the serpent blade and walked to the side, dragging the silver-winged great snake. Suddenly he seemed to have thought of something. Crimson Soul Fire. Kai Yun shouted out sweetly, and golden flames emitted from both of his hands. These weren't mystical flames, but they were more than enough to roast the silver-winged great snake. The golden flames instantly enveloped the silver-winged great snake's body, and the armor turned red from the heat, then melted in the end. A fragrance gradually drifted in the air. This was the fragrance of snake meat. Kai Yun was already swallowing his saliva. Shi Yi, who was lying on the ground, had yet to die, but he could still smell the fragrance of snake meat. She actually roasted my own snake. That was a silver-winged great snake that I had raised for several hundred years. Just like my own child, it was actually roasted alive right now. Pfff. A mouthful of blood spurted out from Shi Yi's mouth. Kai Yun could see that the heart was beating intensely, and then it became slower and slower, then finally stopped. However, a golden ball flew out from the center of Shi Yi's brows. Primordial spirit. Kai Yun naturally saw it. It sure ran fast. Kai Yun could be seen pouting, then fiercely inhaled. The primordial spirit that was running away was instantly sucked back by a strong suction force. Shi Yi's primordial spirit could be seen struggling crazily. However, it was completely useless. It entered Kai Yun's small mouth. Kai Yun licked the corner of his mouth. The taste is not bad. Let's go and eat snake meat. Kai Yun directly dragged the silver-winged great snake back to the city. Everyone just watched like this. Gradually, the tail of the silver-winged great snake disappeared at the city gate. However, the city gate was still open. Mu Xinhai seemed to have understood something. They didn't care at all. On the battlefield, Shi Yi's corpse was still on the spot. Everyone had yet to react and were still immersed in shock. Mu Xinhai turned his head again, and actually saw Fan Jin resting with his eyes closed. He was a little more at ease. As expected of a great god. Even I am shocked, but he doesn't panic at all. He doesn't even care to look at me anymore. As expected of Fan Jin, an existence at the peak of the Dozun class. I have to properly learn from this calmness. Why did this little girl leave? Sure, you asked curiously. Shouldn't they continue fighting? Xiang Liren sighed. Let's go back and eat breakfast. Could it be that eating breakfast is really so important? I don't think we need to eat breakfast. Sure, you couldn't understand. Why didn't Xiang Liren take advantage of his victory and continue attacking? There is still a peak of the Dozun class here. If you are a Jizun, you should continue fighting. Why eat breakfast? Oh my god, on the city gate tower, Yuhua smiled and said, Hubby, I will go down first. You can slowly play by yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 870. Alright, don't tell others. Yuhua laughed lightly. Alright, I won't tell others. After saying that, she even kissed Lai Gu's cheek. This made Lai Gu very happy. Yuhua is really a good woman. I like her more and more. She is too sensible. After Yuhua left, the smile on Lai Gu's face gradually disappeared, and he stared at everyone. That match just now doesn't count. Everyone. After Shi Yu and Xiang Liren heard it, they didn't have any emotions. Such a person, you can play however you want, it's still up to you. On the other hand, the remaining 800,000 people were all quiet. Everyone had a deep fear, especially when they saw the corpse of the Dodi. They felt that it was so unreal. A peak Dodi was toyed to death just like that. A Dodi was toyed to death. Everyone couldn't accept such a fact. Could it be that all Dodi are made of paper? Are they so easy to bully? Hey, why aren't you guys talking? Show me some spirit. Let me get excited. Lai Gu shouted again. Just 2 matches and everyone is scared. This won't do. If you guys are scared, then what am I going to do? It's all Yi Zizi and Kai Yun's fault. These 2 little girls scared people to the point of peeing. Don't they know how to act? Let them feel that there's hope. Then it'll be interesting to fight like this. Although they are very weak, there's still something to play with. I'm so bored that my balls are about to break. Hey, don't leave the stage cold. Quickly send the next one up. Lai Gu shouted loudly. It's finally my turn. I'm so excited. I feel that my life has reached the climax. Facing Lai Gu's shout, Mu Xinhai didn't know how to reply. He felt that if he said it out, he would definitely be slapped. What should I do now? I still have to ask for help from Fan Jin, who is behind me. There's no other way. I can only rely on Fan Jin to win this match. If not, I'll lose all my face. Thinking until here, Mu Xinhai turned his head and looked at Fan Jin, who was resting with his eyes closed, then softly shouted, Fan Jin, why don't? Before Mu Xinhai could finish his sentence, Fan Jin's eyes snapped open. A vast aura came out from those eyes. This was a huge battle intent. Mu Xinhai could feel that this was the anger of a peak Dozun. All of you have already provoked a ferocious Dozun. He would definitely receive the fury of a Dozun. Today, this Wushu Empire would turn into a raging fire that would burn for 3 days and 3 nights. Everyone would be buried with him. Great God Fan Jin, I'll be counting on you from now on. Mu Xinhai said in a low voice. Fan Jin did not say anything and slowly walked in front of Mu Xinhai. Looking at Fan Jin's straight back, Mu Xinhai heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, they managed to invite God Fan Jin over this time. Otherwise, things would have been difficult. This voidless empire actually had such a character. Just how powerful was the man standing on the city gate tower? Right now Lin Fan still did not know. Also, he did not know how strong that woman from earlier was. How many more people like her were there in the voidless empire? It was only at this moment that Mu Xinhai realized that he truly did not know anything at all. He did not know anything about the voidless empire at all. And then he charged over right away. He lacked information. Actually, in Mu Xinhai's eyes, no matter how strong an empire could have, they would at most be Dodosher. The slightly better ones would be Do Wang and Do Huang. Therefore, he was not worried at all. In the end, a peak Do Zong on his side was shattered with a single punch. There was also a peak Do Di who was directly amputated. Even his primordial spirit was devoured. This was too terrifying. If it was possible, Mu Xinhai wanted to retreat. However, 200,000 of his disciples had died. If he were to retreat now, he would become the laughingstock of the northern region. He could not afford to bear the consequences. Right now he could only rely on great god Fan Jin. When Xiang Liren and Shiryu saw Fan Jin standing out, their gazes gradually became solemn. Looks like they were going to play their cards, and they even used their king. Fan Jin has stepped out. I'm afraid that the Voidless Empire will have to treat this seriously. Shiryu said quietly. This Fan Jin is a peak Dozun. He is not on the same level as this Shir. If the Voidless Empire wishes to win, they must send out a Jizun. If there is no Jizun, it would be hard to say. Xiang Liren said in a deep voice. He was a little worried. The main reason was that the girl who loved to eat breakfast had left. Otherwise, he would not be worried. The strength that the little girl had displayed earlier was at least that of a Jizun. She would definitely be able to fight against Fan Jin. However, she ran away to eat breakfast. You guys are in danger of having your city destroyed. Yet you ran away just like that. You guys don't have any sense of responsibility at all. Also, the Emperor of the Voidless Empire. He has already fought his way to our doorstep, yet he still hasn't appeared. At the very least, he should have come out to take a look at the situation. What is this? Attacking the city, defending the city. This is simply child's play. Is this Fan Jin really that powerful? Shiryu asked doubtfully. She did not understand. Xiang Liren laughed softly. This Fan Jin has reached the peak of the Dozun class a long time ago. Regardless of whether it is in terms of combat experience or other aspects, he can be considered a pseudo-Jizun. Therefore, only a Jizun can win. If it is an ordinary peak Dozun, it is likely that they will not be able to defeat Fan Jin. So that is the case. In that case, we will have to see who the Voidless Empire sends out. Shiryu's gaze landed on the city gate tower. Will they send out a powerful Jizun? Aya, why would I have such a terrifying thought? Jizun are not cabbages that can be found on the streets. How can there be so many of them? At this moment, Fan Jin looked towards the man on the city gate tower and shouted out gravely. Is there something that you did not tell me? Hearing Fan Jin's words, everyone became doubtful. What is going on? Is this a declaration before a battle? Why does it feel so strange? Mu Xinhai felt that a god is a god. Even the declaration before a battle is different from others. Even I am unable to guess it. Lai Gu was a little confused. What did I not tell him? What does he mean? Oi, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Lai Gu asked back. Fan Jin shouted out again. What is that over there? Fan Jin could be seen pointing towards the spectator seats. Lai Gu said confusedly. That is the spectator seats. But why don't I know? Is it because I came late? You guys are too unreasonable. Fan Jin rebuked angrily. You guys are simply too shameless. I came here halfway. You guys should at least inform me and let me make a choice, right? Fan Jin's words caused everyone to be a little stupefied, especially Mu Xinhai. He felt that his brain was a little unable to react. Xiang Liren and Shiryu were also the same. What is this Fan Jin planning to do? Why did he suddenly talk about the spectator seats? End of this chapter. Chapter 871. Lai Gu was a little speechless. What is this person trying to do? He even has the mood to chat. Fan Jin's heart sank when he saw that the other party did not speak. The only thing that can save me now is the audience seats. Be it losing face or being mocked by others, life is the most important thing. Then what do you want to do? Lai Gu asked. Say it again. Lai Gu was helpless and said indifferently. Alright, seeing that you don't know what is going on, I will say it again. The audience seats are the audience. I will not hurt you, give. Before Lai Gu could finish his words, Fan Jin's silhouette had already disappeared. In an instant he appeared beside Shiryu. His speed was so fast that it made people speechless. This was probably the speed of a peak Dozun or even faster. Lai Gu's mouth twitched. Damn it. I got tricked. Mu Xinhai opened his mouth wide. The god that he believed in actually ran to the audience seats. And he did it at such a fast speed. Do other people know that you are so outstanding? To actually be in cahoots with some traitors. If this matter were to spread, how are you going to survive in the north? There were still very few people who knew Fanjin's identity. At least in the eyes of those 800,000 people, he was another deserter. But for some reason, they were very envious. They really wanted to be an audience. Just standing there would be danger at any moment. Just like those two battleships just now, before the people inside could react, they turned into air and disappeared. Who knows what will happen later? Shi Yu and Xiang Liren were also very shocked. A legendary person actually stood together with them. They suddenly realized that they were not embarrassed anymore. Instead, they were very proud. Because there were only 3 smart people among the 1 million people. Even if they lost face, there was still a Peak Dozun accompanying them. How comfortable it was. I am an audience. Fanjin said indifferently. I am definitely going to be an audience. No one can drag me away, no matter who pleads for me, it will be useless. Luckily I ran away quickly just now, giving the other party no chance to retort. In front of so many people, you will probably feel embarrassed to go back on your words. It was really scary just now. My speed reached a peak value. As expected, only fear can stimulate my potential. Actually, Shi Yu was very excited now. Standing beside him was a Peak Do Di and a Peak Do Zun. The most glorious moment of his life had appeared. Mu Xinhai's chest started heaving up and down. He had never thought that even Fanjin would choose to be a spectator. Fanjin, why did you do that? Mu Xinhai asked in a deep voice. He really couldn't understand. Could it be that he had been frightened by the other party? But you are a pseudo-sovereign. As long as the opponent does not have a sovereign, you will still have the upper hand. Fanjin looked at Mu Xinhai and shouted. You're asking me why? I was dragged here by you without knowing anything. You're trying to frame me. How dare you try to plunder such a magnificent empire? I, Fanjin, despise people like you, and will never associate myself with you. Please don't talk to me anymore, because you're not worthy. Mu Xinhai's entire person was in a bad mood. This Fanjin was actually anxious to draw a clear line between them. Simply shameless. Back then, when you were injured, didn't I help you? If it weren't for me, I'm afraid you would have died. Such a life-saving favor was actually abandoned at this time. Scum. What a scumbag. She was even more of a scumbag than that little girl. This is a hypocrite. Today, I finally saw it clearly. If I knew that this day would come, I wouldn't have saved him back then. I should have just let him die on the spot. Look at how hypocritical he is. He doesn't even have the intention to humiliate me, and he even has an upright and plain-spoken expression. Mu Xinhai felt that his lungs were going to explode from anger. Right now, Lai Gu was also feeling the same. I was still too honest, and I was actually tricked. But luckily among these people, that boss is still here. Later on I'll just play with boss for a bit, and then I'll smoothly end this battle. This is really a little boring. Originally, I still wanted to play with this expert. But in the end he ran to the spectator seats. He's really too cowardly. Opposite. Now only you are left, come and fight. Lai Gu shouted towards Mu Xinhai. Let us fight to our heart's content. To be able to die under my sharp claws, that's also your happiness. Mu Xinhai was also a proud person. Although Fanjin ran away, he didn't give in at all. Instead, the flames in his chest continued to rise by quite a bit. His body trembled. Mu Xinhai directly descended, clenched his fist and shouted. Yuanyang Manor will definitely win. Following Mu Xinhai's words, the disciples behind him immediately followed along and shouted loudly. Yuanyang Manor will definitely win. Yuanyang Manor will definitely win. Yuanyang Manor will definitely win. The powerful voice soared into the clouds, seeming so high. The originally low morale was instantly ignited, and everyone's blood started to boil. This is the Manor Master. He is the soul of their hearts. How can they not be excited? I feel that as long as the Manor Master steps out, no matter how powerful the person is, they will have to kick the bucket. Lai Gu admired this Manor Master for daring to come down even now. On the other hand, that person who ran away just now is really trash. He doesn't have the imposing manner of a Manor Master at all. I have to give you a look of disdain. However, this Fan Jin is quite smart. Knowing that he can't win, he chose to save himself. Forget it, forget it. I'll just treat it as releasing a dog. It won't cause any huge waves. Who knows, I might even be able to publicize Wushu Empire's battle achievements. Suddenly, Lai Gu heard footsteps coming from the stairs. His entire body darkened. It's here again. Who exactly is it? Could it be that Yu Hua called me to go and eat breakfast? Didn't I say just now, don't disturb me from acting cool? This is the last time. Lai Gu looked towards his right side, and a beautiful figure appeared. Furthermore, it's the woman that I don't want to see the most, Brett, who was still carrying Ju Tian in his embrace. Lai Gu squeezed out a smile and said, "That Brett, what are you doing here?" "Oh, Yu Hua called you to go and eat breakfast, so she asked me to come over and take a look," Brett said faintly as she stroked Ju Tian with her slender hands. Ju Tian squinted his eyes and had a look of enjoyment on his face. Lai Gu immediately covered his face. "Yu Hua, what are you doing?" "In my Lai Gu's heart, you are a very sensible woman, to actually ask me to go and eat breakfast. I am a bone dragon. Is there really a need for me to care about breakfast?" Lai Gu smiled and said, "I will go after a while, settle this place first." "No need, leave this place to me." Brett felt that it had been a long time since he last fought, and these people in front of him can be of some use. "Let me do it. Girls shouldn't fight and kill. Ju Tian doesn't like it either." Lai Gu hurriedly persuaded. "Can you guys not be like this? Please give me a chance." End of chapter. Chapter 872. Meow. Ju Tian looked at Lai Gu covetously, seemingly saying, "Quickly go and eat your breakfast, my woman wants to move around." Lai Gu felt deep despair. If it was someone else, I can still give an order, but these people are the only ones that I cannot afford to offend. All right, Brett, pay attention to your face." Lai Gu still reminded. "Got it." How could Brett not know? Back then, I was in my human form. Those who saw me before would definitely be able to recognize me. Lai Gu took one last look at those people, then went downstairs with reluctance. The entire street was filled with silver-winged snakes, and countless people came over with knives to eat the snake meat while shouting, "Long live the Emperor!" Lai Gu quickly found Yu Hua. "Hubby, why did you come back? Are you done settling everything?" Kai Yun and Yu Hua could be seen enjoying delicious food with a comfortable look on their faces. When Lai Gu heard this, he knew that he was fooled again. "You bunch of trapdogs, don't let me catch you next time. I'll trap you all to death." Sure, Yu and Xiang Liren were a bit confused. Why did that man go down? And then, a woman carrying a cat appeared. This woman looks weak and soft. Could it be that she wants to fight? Just as the two finished thinking, Brett carried Ju Tian and descended down from the city gate tower. Dressed in a red cheongsam with a slit, paired with a pair of red high heels and a bun, Brett was simply incomparably beautiful. The first two were little girls, and everyone only saw them as underage children. But this woman, that's a mature woman. Look at that slit on her pants, that white skin, seems like it's very stimulating. I really want to go and lick it. Sure, you asked Fan Jin, who was at the side. Great God, Fan Jin, how powerful do you think this woman is? Is she Mu Xinhai's opponent? Fan Jin let out a light sigh, then said slowly, "Did you two not notice? Did the surrounding space get sealed?" When the two heard Fan Jin's words, their expressions sunk, and they immediately went to feel. Indeed, it was just like what Fan Jin said. The surrounding space got sealed. Even a small tadpole can't crawl out. "Then we..." Xiang Liren muttered. His gaze was filled with astonishment. "We don't even know when the surrounding space got sealed. Isn't this strength a little too terrifying?" Fan Jin said in a deep voice. "Our lives are in the hands of this void empire." Since the great god had already said it like this, Xiang Liren ensured you didn't say anything anymore. "Originally, I came here today to trample on voidless empire, but now, yet my life is in the hands of Wushu Empire. Even if I'm standing on the spectator seats, I still don't feel very safe, because who knew if they would keep their word? Is there no way to save myself?" Xiang Liren asked with a trace of despair. He felt that voidless empire would not let him off. No matter what, they were here to kill. So how could the other party let them go? In the beginning, they were just watching him make a fool of himself and trying to dampen the morale of this side. Hopefully, praying to the heavens would still work. Huh. Where are the 4 women from before? Sure, you suddenly let out a sound of doubt, mainly because when he saw Brett being so beautiful, he suddenly thought of the woman that night. However, neither Fanjin nor Xiangliren knew about this. What woman? Fanjin asked in a low voice. He wanted to know what kind of existence this Wushu Empire was. Oh, you two still don't know about this matter. It was during the night a few days ago, when we were fighting over the strange fire. Sure, you told them about what happened. After listening to what happened, Fanjin and Xiangliren's brows tightly locked together. Why do I feel like I fell into someone else's trap? That man in the wheelchair is not simple at all. Fanjin didn't even think about the matter regarding the strange fire, and he only felt that that man was very terrifying. Xiangliren said gravely, "That's right, from what you said. That man's strength is most likely the strongest. I feel like he is trying to lure Yuanyang Manor over here. But what is his purpose? Sure, you didn't understand." Fanjin paused for a moment, then said faintly, "Yuanyang Manor came to Voidless Empire today. I'm afraid that half of the northern region knows about it, because this news was spread by Mu Xinhai himself. And this Voidless Empire is located in a place like Northern Liang, and they lack the recognition of the outside world." Xiangliren said casually. The 3's eyes immediately lit up. They seemed to have understood Voidless Empire's purpose. "Sure," you said gravely. "This Voidless Empire is trying to use Yuanyang Manor to make a name for themselves." Fanjin and Xiangliren didn't speak. If they didn't guess wrongly, that should be the reason. If that was really the case, the 3 looked at the remaining 800,000 disciples. I'm afraid that not a single one of them would be able to leave here alive today. And this Mu Xinhai didn't know anything at all. And he just brought his men and rushed over here. But this Mu Xinhai couldn't be blamed for being impulsive. Both of his protectors had died. No matter what, he had to take revenge. And it just so happened that he discovered that this Voidless Empire was very good. That's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If it's possible, I really want to go in and take a look. Fanjin said faintly. He was filled with curiosity towards Voidless Empire. What kind of empire was this exactly? On the battlefield, Brett carried Ju Tian and looked at Mu Xinhai, who wasn't far away. Just now, when he carried Ju Tian out for a stroll, he saw that there was a huge snake on the street, and everyone was eating snake meat. After asking Kai Yin about it, he directly walked up the city gate tower and sent Lai Gu away. After all, it had been a long time since he last exercised. His body was about to become rusty. Although this person in front of him was very weak, at least he could still exercise a little. Mu Xinhai looked at the woman in front of him. His expression was rather heavy. What strength this woman has, I don't know. What is that cat in her arms, I don't know. What kind of weapon does this woman have, I don't know. I don't even know about the entire Voidless Empire. I was really too careless this time. I shouldn't have rushed over so anxiously. At the very least, I should have investigated first. Be good, sit on my shoulder. Brett said gently as he kissed Ju Tian, who was in his embrace. Ju Tian let out a lazy moan, then squatted on Brett's shoulder, and looked at Mu Xinhai, who was in front of him, with a bored expression. Brett didn't have any good impressions of people. In her eyes, these people were all ants under the heavens. Whether they were alive or dead, it made no difference to Brett. Therefore, since these people dared to come, there was no need for them to return. Mu Xinhai locked onto Brett tightly, and 2 blades actually appeared in his hands. Scarlet flame blades. It was an extremely rare primordial godly item. After all, it was a pair of blades, and normally, there would only be 1 blade. Furthermore, these scarlet flame blades were emitting out a faint red glow, and it seemed like they had been tempered 5 times already. Mu Xinhai held onto the scarlet flame blades in his hands tightly, and he felt a sense of confidence growing from the bottom of his heart. What are you guys here for? Brett asked faintly. Mu Xinhai was a bit puzzled. Is there even a need to ask? I am here to massacre the city. Mu Xinhai didn't avoid the topic and directly spoke out his purpose. End of this chapter. Chapter 873. Brett chuckled. Massacre the city? I really miss the days of massacring cities. It's a pity that you guys can't be here. Don't even think about doing it. Mu Xinhai waved the scarlet flame dual blades in his hands, releasing arcs of light. Puff! A ferocious wave of air swept out, causing Brett's Cheongsam to flutter. Those shining white thighs were really enough to make one drool. However, only the cat on his shoulder dared to play with this pair of legs. After all, Brett's temper was not very good, and he would lose his temper easily. Just like now, he was a little unhappy. Whether you can do it or not will depend on your ability. As the sound of his voice faded, a powerful aura erupted from Mu Xinhai. It spread out in all directions, and even the sky stopped snowing. The clouds gradually dispersed, and sunlight shone on the earth. Brett said indifferently, "My ability is not something you can hope for. I'm afraid you can't bear it." As soon as he finished speaking, an aquamarine bow formed in Brett's hand. This bow was Brett's true weapon. Profound Rainbow Treasured Moon. A top-notch primordial artifact, not a third-rate primordial artifact. Speaking of this bow, there was a story behind it. The owner of this bow was Brett's sister. Back then, absolute heaven had saved Brett. In the end, Brett had killed his own sister, and this weapon had also fallen into Brett's hands. Actually, this bow was given to Brett, but it was snatched away by his sister. When the profound rainbow treasured moon appeared, Mu Xinhai's aura vanished without a trace. The entire world was suppressed by the profound rainbow treasured moon in Brett's hands, causing everyone to tremble. This was a primordial divine weapon. They were not on the same level at all. You. Prehistoric divine artifact. Mu Xinhai asked blankly, his eyes filled with shock. At least you have some foresight. Brett's right hand was already on the bowstring. To be precise, there was no bowstring, but when Brett touched it, a strand of hair appeared. Moreover, when they came into contact, a wave of righteous chi suddenly erupted, sweeping through the entire scene. The oppressive atmosphere made everyone feel as if their hearts were about to explode. Was this the pressure of an ancient divine artifact? Mu Xinhai arched his body slightly. It wasn't that he wanted to, but that he couldn't bear it. He couldn't resist it at all. Even Fan Jin, who was standing far away, could clearly feel it. Is this a primeval artifact? Xiang Liren murmured. Although Fan Jin didn't say anything, he looked at the bow with a complicated expression. There was envy, jealousy, and yearning. It would be great if he could have a primordial divine weapon. Shiryu's entire body froze. This time he really froze. He was suppressed by this aura to the point that he couldn't move. Ancient Era Divine Weapon. This was actually the legendary Ancient Era Divine Weapon. What the hell was up with this voidless empire? They even had something like a great desolate divine equipment, and it was even held by a woman. Just now, those two little girls didn't even reveal their weapons. Does it mean that they don't have any weapons? Or do they also have ancient divine weapons? The shock brought about by Void Empire was too intense. Brett slowly drew his bow, and a destructive aura condensed on the profound rainbow treasure moon. The entire world shook, and everyone fell into a momentary daze. This was the passive ability of the profound rainbow treasure moon. It was truly impossible to defend against. Even the Dozun Mu Xinhai was absent-minded. As Brett loosened his grip, a green arrow flew out. The speed was so fast that no one was able to catch it. The air seemed to have been scorched, and the beautiful green arrow was intoxicating. However, the arrow carried the color of death. Mu Xinhai could see that the arrow was flying toward him. He wanted to raise his hands to block it, but it was as if his hands were being held by someone, and he was unable to raise them at all. Facing a great desolate divine equipment, I actually don't even have the chance to resist. How is this possible? The green arrow flew past Mu Xinhai's face. Although it didn't touch Mu Xinhai's face, a trace of blood had still appeared on Mu Xinhai's face. The arrow was flying toward one of the battleships. Boom! The arrow instantly penetrated through the defense of the battleship and exploded within the battleship. The huge battleship turned into a fireball in the sky, and the surrounding temperature instantly rose. Bang! The fireball smashed onto the ground and ignited a raging fire. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of people disappeared. Mu Xinhai finally felt that strength had returned to his body. And this was the strength that came from anger. Brett didn't say anything and drew his bow once again. Mu Xinhai instantly felt that his strength was being sucked dry again. If you have the guts, come at me. Mu Xinhai shouted at Brett. Brett said coldly, when you chose to come, you had already dragged them into hell. I am only completing my mission, but you have failed. I will bear all the consequences. Why did you kill my disciples? Because I am happy. After Brett finished speaking, another arrow was shot out. Boom. Dazzling sparks bloomed in the sky, and another 100,000 people died. Mu Xinhai was completely stunned. If this was a battle between two armies, it would be acceptable if there were casualties on both sides. However, this wasn't the case at all. This was a complete massacre. Using a great desolate divine equipment to kill some dosher and dosher. You vicious woman, you will die a horrible death. Mu Xinhai cursed angrily. Are you vicious or am I vicious? You have already fought your way to my doorstep. Don't tell me you want me to lay down my weapons and surrender, and let you slaughter the commoners? As Brett's words fell, he drew his bow once again. When the people on the battleship saw this, they all knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Everyone's face was filled with fear and the desire to live. Some of them even begged bitterly. Don't kill me. We are only obeying the prefecture master's orders. Let me go. I will be married next month. I will be a father next month. However, Brett could not hear these words. Before you want to kill others, you should be prepared to be killed. Brett's hand loosened. Bye. Boom. Another battleship was set ablaze. Brett looked as if she was shooting at a target, appearing very relaxed. However, to Mu Xinhai, this woman was a killing maniac. Each arrow took away 100,000 lives, and those were all Yuanyang residents' disciples. It was all his power. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Brett laughed coldly. One-on-one? Do you have the right? You can't even block one arrow. Bye. Another arrow. Boom. Just like that, Fan Jin and the other two could only watch on as Brett killed them with arrow after arrow. This sort of method was simply hair-raising. After all, each arrow killed 100,000 people. No matter how ruthless she would not be able to do this. However, this woman did not have the slightest bit of pity, and even seemed to be enjoying this moment. What exactly had cultivated this woman, and the cat on her shoulder? That expression was so human-like, and it was even yawning out of boredom. Mu Xinhai had no strength left to kneel on the ground. He did not even have time to unleash a single move, before he knelt in front of Brett. End of this chapter. Chapter 874. Me. Mu Xinhai. Yuanyang Manor's manor master is begging you. Let my disciple go. You can take my life. Mu Xinhai shouted. He was a courageous person. In order to save his own disciple, he was willing to sacrifice his life. This made Fan Jin admire him a little. Xiang Liren ensure you were the same. This woman made a Dozun kneel down and beg for mercy. Her goal was achieved. However, this wasn't Brett's goal. Those who dared to cause trouble in Wusu Empire should be prepared to die. Is his honor's territory a place where you can come and go as you please? Then you are too daring. If his honor was here, your death would be called hopeless. I am just giving you a quick death. Brett ignored Mu Xinhai, who was begging for mercy, and pulled the bow once again. Mu Xinhai, who was kneeling down, clenched his fists as he listened to the explosion behind him. Those arrows, although they didn't hit me, it was more painful than if they hit me. Enough. It was unknown where Mu Xinhai got the strength from, but he actually stood up. Because right now, there was only one battleship left. All the disciples on the battleship were crying. There was nothing they could do. They were killed by a woman just like that. There were 9 balls of flames burning on the ground. Those were 900,000 people. Originally, they came over happily and were prepared to kill in all directions. Now they didn't even get down from the battleship. Furthermore, the enemies only appeared a little, and they died just like that. Unwillingness. Even dying under the blade of the enemy was better than dying like this. Stop killing. Mu Xinhai shouted angrily. Why? Brett asked indifferently. My life in exchange for the remaining 100,000 people. Mu Xinhai said solemnly. Brett slowly put down the mysterious moon. Then, I can consider it. Mu Xinhai took a deep breath and turned to look at Fan Jin. Suddenly he knew why Fan Jin had to run. Because these people weren't a match for him at all. They didn't even have the strength to resist. My decision was wrong. I implicated my own disciple. I am a failed manner master. A failed manner master. Mu Xinhai let out a long sigh. His right hand turned into a palm and fiercely slapped towards the top of his head. Bang! A shockwave instantly spread out. Mu Xinhai looked at the sky in a daze. My life actually fell in front of an empire. This was something I didn't expect. When Shiryu saw Mu Xinhai commit suicide, his entire person was half dumbfounded. He had forced a Dozun to death. He had never heard of it. Even a storyteller wouldn't make up such a ridiculous story. But today it happened right in front of his eyes. Didn't this mean something? Xiang Liren sighed softly. Dozun. In the Kangluo continent he was a person of status. In order to save his disciple, Mu Xinhai chose to commit suicide. This courage was not something that ordinary people could do. Even if he couldn't do it, after all, his life was the most important. Today he had a different view of Mu Xinhai. Fan Jin felt the same way. Looking at the fallen Mu Xinhai, he sighed in his heart. Don't blame me for not remembering our past relationship. My opponent was simply too strong, and I had no choice. If I had known that something like this would happen, I wouldn't have done anything about it. I would never have come. As Mu Xinhai's body collapsed, a small golden ball floated out. This was Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit. Brett said lightly, I've thought about it. After saying that, he raised his bow again. Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit roared angrily. You untrustworthy woman. You will go to hell after you die. Brett's arrow directly stopped Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit. And along with the last battleship, the battleship turned into flames. Meanwhile, there were still some battleships from small sects that were kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. Brett didn't say anything and just shot an arrow towards the sky. A perfect arc appeared, and the arrow could be seen turning into countless arrows in the sky, falling down with a terrifying aura. Everyone could see the arrowhead clearly. They watched it fall, and the sky suddenly burst with countless explosions. Out of the millions of people, only 3 were left. Fan Jin, Xiang Liren, and Shiryu's faces were all tensed up. It was their turn now. Brett didn't say anything and continued to pull the bow. Looking at this scene, the 3 were so scared that they peed in their pants. Fan Jin's strength was the strongest, and thus, he was still able to finish his sentence. On the other hand, Xiang Liren and Shiryu didn't even have the strength to speak. Senior, this is the spectator seats. We agreed that we wouldn't kill them. Fan Jin hurriedly explained. This is the spectator seats. Do you see that? The 3 big words are so obvious. Meow. At this moment, Zhu Tian suddenly called out. Brett pouted his mouth, then turned his head around and kissed Zhu Tian. Meanwhile, Zhu Tian had a look of disgust on his face, as if Brett had dirted his fur. Since the 3 were going to stay, Brett didn't say anything. The profound rainbow treasured moon that was in his hand disappeared, and Brett flew back towards the city gate and disappeared. Fan Jin and the other 2 let out a breath of relief. Although they didn't know why that woman suddenly stopped, it was still a good thing. In the end, they were still able to stay alive. Fan Jin sensed for a bit, and the spatial seal has already been released. This means that I can really leave now. However, Fan Jin looked towards Wushu Empire, wanting to go in and take a look. Not only Fan Jin thought so, Xiang Liren and Shiryu also thought so. However, they still don't dare to leave today. It wasn't easy for them to leave. What if they regret their decision later on? Therefore, they have to leave right now. We will meet again in the future. Fan Jin cupped his hands and said, then immediately disappeared. Xiang Liren also didn't dare to stay any longer. Goodbye. After finished speaking, Xiang Liren left as well. Shiryu stood at the scene by himself, and went into a daze for a while, then ran away as well. Why would I dare to come to such a terrifying place? In the future, I won't come here even if I am beaten to death. 1 million people came, and in the end only 3 people were left. This was already the best result. Right now in the city, the streets were filled with people. The silver-winged snake was divided among the people in the city, and Lai Gu and Yu Hua were currently enjoying the meat. There was also Lai Gu and Yu Hua. However, Lai Gu had a stern face and had a look of hidden bitterness on his face. Everything was messed up by you guys. It was clearly I, Lai Gu, who discovered the silver-winged snake. You bunch of shameless people, especially Brett. To actually lie to me, shameless. To not even let me play with a piece of trash. You guys are simply too bad. The people in the city were completely not worried that someone would invade into the city, and they were happily eating the snake meat. The snake meat was truly too fragrant. This was the best food that they had ever eaten. Of course it was the best food. After all, this was a battle emperor snake. Eating it would be extremely nourishing. Especially for ordinary people, after eating it, their lifespan would increase every year, and they would be immune to all kinds of diseases. Within the imperial palace, Yihua slowly opened his eyes, and Qin Yutong who was on his chest was actually drooling, and there was even a puddle of saliva on his chest. Qin Yutong. Yihua couldn't help but shout out. Qin Yutong didn't shout out, but instead, she woke up Qinye and Donghuang Baiji who were beside her. Yihua, what happened? Qinye thought that something happened and hurriedly asked. End of chapter. Chapter 875. Look at your sister. Why is he the same as you? Yihua couldn't help but complain. I am a man who has mysophobia, and looking at the saliva on my chest, I am a bit dizzy. Qinye smiled helplessly, then poked Qin Yutong's head. Sob sob sob, in your head, quickly get up. Qinye shouted out. Qin Yutong touched onto her mouth. I'm so tired, brother-in-law is too good at messing around. I can't take it anymore. Qin Yutong, look at what you have done. Yihua said gravely. Qin Yutong opened her beautiful eyes and secretly took a peek. Damn, what a big puddle of saliva. Brother-in-law doesn't seem to like this the most. Brother-in-law, how about I suck it away for you? Yihua was angered to the point of laughing. Qinye even reprimanded. Qin Yutong, are you serious? Big sister, I was just joking. I will go and get something to wipe brother-in-law's saliva. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong ran down from the bed and took a towel to wipe Yihua's saliva. However, originally, it was only a puddle of dirt, but in the end, it became bigger and bigger after being rubbed by Qin Yutong. Brother-in-law, let's talk things out, don't hit me. Qin Yutong hurriedly begged for forgiveness. Yihua held onto his forehead. Why did I end up with a sister-in-law like this? Go and prepare water for me to take a bath. Yihua didn't want to speak anymore. Alright, Yutong didn't do it on purpose. Don't be angry anymore. As the elder sister, Qinye still had to speak up for her younger sister. Yihua waved his hand. Who asked me, the supreme overlord, to have such a bitter life? I married 3 goddess-like women. However, you all might not know this, but these 3 women even drool when they sleep at night. Luckily, it was not the 3 of us who were drooling at the same time. If such a thing were to happen here. After Yihua finished bathing, under the help of his 3 wives, Yihua put on the emperor robe. I'm a bit hungry, I want to eat a pancake today, the kind with eggs and ham. Yihua muttered, then pushed open the door of the palace. Master, Daji who was standing outside, said respectfully. Towards Daji's loyalty, Yihua was also helpless. He told her to go back to her room to sleep, and even if he beat her to death, she wouldn't go back. It was as if someone could pose a threat to the main body. What are we eating this morning? Yihua asked curiously. Master, Blood Devil made snake soup. Snake soup? Yihua was very puzzled. Why did they suddenly start making snake soup? Suddenly, Yihua smelled a whiff of fragrance, and it smelled just like the smell of barbecued meat. Qinye, did you smell something? Yihua asked curiously. Qinye nodded her head. And there seems to be the smell of barbecue, and it is rather fragrant. Who is barbecuing? Yihua immediately looked towards the city and saw a black thing lying on the street, and there were many people beside it. Without thinking too much, Yihua directly floated over. When Yihua saw the silver-winged serpent, his brows tightly wrinkled. When the people below saw a man who was dressed in an emperor's robe, they were first startled for a moment. Within Voidless Empire, who would be able to dress like this? That must be the emperor. Everyone kneeled down in joy and shouted, "My emperor! Hooray! Hooray! Long live!" Yihua lightly raised his hand, and everyone was lifted up by a formless power. Once again sensing the emperor's ability, the look of respect on Yihua's face became even heavier. Yihua floated towards the city gate tower, and when he saw the fire outside, his face immediately darkened. And Lai Gu, who was eating the snake meat, seemed to be able to sense it. You are finished. His honor is going to stew you later." Yihua poked onto Lai Gu's forehead. Lai Gu had a bitter look on his face as he hugged onto Yihua and sighed. "Yihua, save me. Apologize to his honor properly later," Yihua said with a slight smile. She looked at her flagmaster, who was still happily eating the snake meat. "Why am I so unlucky today? I got screwed by Qing Yutong in the morning. And the person that I called over to act cool is actually gone. I have already thought of how I will appear. And even my lines have already been thought of. I have already taken off half of my pants. And you show me this. Where are they? All of them are dead. If that is the case, why am I still acting cool? I took such a big detour. Didn't I just want to have some fun? Start the meeting." Yihua shouted out angrily in his heart, then disappeared from the city gate tower. If Fan Jin and the others didn't leave, they probably wouldn't be able to leave anymore. Yihua would probably have to use them as practice. Following Yihua's shout, all of Yihua's subordinates received the order. All of them stopped what they were doing and hurried towards the palace hall for the meeting. Even Qingya and the others received the order. They didn't understand why Yihua would fly into such a big temper. Inside the palace hall, Yihua's face was gloomy as he looked at all of his subordinates. However, all of the people who did bad things lowered their heads and remained silent. They clearly felt that his honor was going to fly into a rage, and it was the kind of rage that couldn't be appeased. "What happened outside? Who did it?" Yihua shouted out. All of Yihua's subordinates didn't dare to make a sound. Lai Gu felt that he didn't do anything at all, and only watched a show. Therefore, he shouldn't be counted in. "All of you aren't saying anything, right? Seems like I have treated you all too well." As Yihua's wife, Qingya had to say something at this time. After all, as a husband and wife, one plays the bad cop and the other plays the good cop. "Yihua, calm down, let them calm down. They were all frightened by you." "Humph." Yihua snorted coldly. He was a little tsundere. "All right, you all can quickly speak." Yi Zizi suddenly took a step forward and said honestly, "Your Honor, Lai Gu told me to go and fight." "Lai Gu? When did I, Lai Gu, tell you to go and fight? You were clearly the one who jumped down. You actually dare to say that to me." Yihua said gravely, "Lai Gu, you actually hid it from me. Do you really think that I don't dare to stew you?" "Your Honor, please spare me. I didn't tell Yi Zizi to go. She went by herself." Lai Gu hurriedly pleaded. When his honor flies into a rage, everyone has to cower. Yihua understood Yi Zizi very well. Who else participated in it? "All of you stand out." Kai Yun and Brett both stood out. Yihua didn't feel good. Such a good opportunity to act cool. You all enjoy it yourselves. Don't you know that this is an opportunity that I created? Don't you all know that a lot of brain cells have to die to create such an opportunity? The main point is, I even thought of the extravagance, but I didn't do it myself. Kai Yun hurriedly said, "Your Honor, it was all Lai Gu. He was the one who told me to go, and he even told me not to tell Your Honor." Brett followed up and said, "Kai Yun is right. Lai Gu said that this is a rare opportunity, and he wanted to do it himself. You all. It was clearly you all who wanted to play. I didn't even touch it. Your Honor, I have been wronged." Lai Gu had the heart to cry. "After you all finished acting cool, you all still want me to be the scapegoat. You all can't be so shameless." Then, who was the one who discovered it first? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. Everyone quietened down. Meanwhile, Lai Gu slowly raised his hand. Donghuang Baiji smiled helplessly. Yihua shouted out angrily, "Lai Gu, you actually dare to think of keeping it for yourself." End of this chapter. Chapter 876. Your Honor. I'm just afraid of disturbing your rest. Let me, your subordinate, take care of these small fries. There is no need for your Honor's sacred body to appear, lest your Honor's hands get dirty. Bullshit. You just want to take everything for yourself. Your Honor, it's not like that, we are all serving your Honor. Lai Gu didn't even have the heart to die. If I am done acting cool, it would be worth it to be scolded, but I didn't do anything at all, and I am still being scolded. Yihua wouldn't really do anything to Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu is my subordinate, I'll just scold him for him to remember. But I still feel unhappy in my heart. When I was hugging my wife to sleep, those people came. And when I went out to take a look, there wasn't even a trace of them left. At this moment, Wei Chong stood out and said respectfully, Your Honor, Lai Gu was only trying to share your Honor's burden, and his intention was good. Furthermore, Lai Gu didn't know of your Honor's plan, so it's pardonable. I hope that your Honor can quell your anger. I hope that your Honor can quell your anger. Yihua also pleaded for her man. Qingye smiled tenderly. Yihua, since Lai Gu knows his mistake, just let it go. Yihua snorted coldly. You can escape death, but you can't escape punishment. Hearing what his Honor said, Lai Gu knew that he was going to be in trouble. But what else could he say? So today isn't a lucky day, but a calamity day. Yihua took a look at Yuhua. I finally know how to punish Lai Gu. Yuhua, subordinate is here. Yuhua said respectfully. Lai Gu's heart immediately sunk. What is his Honor trying to do? It can't be that he is venting his anger on Yuhua, right? Your Honor, it's all my fault, don't punish Yuhua. Lai Gu hurriedly said. Yihua ignored Lai Gu and said gravely, Yuhua, for the next half a year, stay by Kai Yun's side. Lai Gu and Yuhua went into a daze. Not only Lai Gu and Yuhua, everyone else was stunned. This doesn't seem like a punishment, but to Lai Gu, this is simply a huge punishment. On the other hand, Kai Yun said happily, Thank you, Your Honor. Yuhua had a helpless look on her face. This move of his Honor is truly ruthless. Lai Gu turned his head and pondered. It's all right. In any case, I'm already in Voidless Empire. What's there to be afraid of not being able to see Yuhua? Understood. Yuhua said respectfully. Yihua nodded his head and looked at Lai Gu. Do I still not know what you are thinking about? Do you think that it is that easy? Ha! You are looking down on me too much. Easy. Open clouds. Brett. Yihua shouted out coldly. The three of them stood up, bowed and said, Your subordinates are here. You guys attacked without my orders, messing up my plans. Tell me, how are you going to settle this? Yi Zizi's big eyes turned, then cupped his hands and said, Your Honor, Zizi is willing to create a new opportunity for your Honor. Yi Zizi has become smarter. Huh? Yi Zizi has become smarter. Yi Zizi just wanted to go out and play, so she seized this opportunity. All right, the three of you. Just create another chance for me. If I can't do it, then don't come back. As for the others, stay back and guard Voidless Empire. Meeting adjourned. Yihua waved his hand, and his entire person disappeared from the throne. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji shook their heads. You're already a big boss, yet you're still acting so childish. Didn't I just tell you not to act cool? You're already taking out your anger on your subordinates. I reckon that later on, you're going to take out your anger on your wife. After Qingye and Donghuang Baiji left, Qing Yutong did not leave. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes towards Yi Zizi, and Yi Zizi's eyebrows twitched in response. However, at this moment, Lai Gu looked as if he was struck by lightning, and he stood on the spot stupidly. For his Honor to let Yuhua stay by Kai Yun's side. Didn't that mean that wherever Kai Yun went, Yuhua would go? Now that Kai Yun was going to head out, Moonlight would definitely have to follow him. Moreover, Kai Yun had just said that the others would all stay behind to guard the Voidless Empire. Wasn't this building for him? Other than Lai Gu being depressed, Brett was also very depressed. If I had known that such a thing would happen, I wouldn't have participated in it. Right now, I have to separate from absolute heaven. His Honor's temper is still as bad as before. Yi Zizi suddenly held onto Kai Yun's shoulder. Let's form a group and go stir up some trouble. Then let Voidless Empire be the scapegoat. Wow, good idea, it will definitely be fun. Kai-yin was also someone who loved to have fun, and the two belonged to the category of people who shared the same rotten tastes. Qin Yutong hurriedly walked over. How can I miss out on such a fun thing? Join the group. Agree to join the group. Yi Zizi grinned. Meanwhile, Kai-yun's smile was very naughty. Qin Yutong said towards Brett. Join the group? What else could Brett say? Only by working together will we be able to quickly finish our task and return. Join the group. Yi Zizi choked. This old woman. Agreed. Yi Zizi said helplessly. Kai-yun was already impatient, and he said towards Yu Hua. Let's go, we have to quickly complete his honors mission. Yu Hua was helpless as she pulled Lai Gu up, then carried Lai Gu into her embrace and consoled him lightly. This scene caused all of Lai Gu's subordinates to be a little stupefied. It is very common for a man to carry a woman, but this is the first time I have seen a woman carrying a man. I immediately took a photo of this scene so that I can tease Lai Gu in the future. Being hugged by your wife like this. Where did your manliness go? Take good care of yourself. After I finish my task, I will come back and accompany you. Yu Hua said lightly as she pinched onto Lai Gu's nose. It's all my fault. Lai Gu sighed lightly. Acting cool, it's all good now. In the future, I won't act cool anymore. If there's anything, I will immediately report it to his honor without any delay. Yi Zizi and Kai-yun said at the same time. No, you didn't do anything wrong, well done Lai Gu. All of the benefits were taken away by you two and I Lai Gu. Fortunately, I still have 3 wives. I am really glad that I found a lot of wives back then. If not, I would have to masturbate to pass the time. Qin Yutong was already rubbing her palms together as she asked lightly. Then when are we leaving? Now. Yi Zizi and Kai-yun said at the same time. Brett said faintly. Now where are we going? Do you have a plan? Yi Zizi snorted. When did we need a plan when we do things? What is a plan? Is it edible? And what Yi Zizi said is very right. Kai-yun agreed with what Yi Zizi said. What plan do we need? We can just go wherever we want. Yu Hua said tenderly. Flagmaster, we need a good plan. How about we discuss about it today, and then we will leave tomorrow? We still have to wait until tomorrow, don't? Kai-yun was very obedient to Yu Hua's words, and only Yu Hua was able to move him. Qin Yutong, what are you standing there for? Come back. Qinya could be seen suddenly appearing and shouting towards Qin Yutong. Qin Yutong was depressed. If I had left just now, there wouldn't be any problems, but now everything is fine. End of chapter. Chapter 877. Qin Yutong said softly. Then let's gather tomorrow morning. You guys wait for me, remember? After finished speaking, Qin Yutong ran towards Qinya. Qinya knew what Qin Yutong was going to do. Qin Yutong definitely wanted to go out with Yi Zizi and the others to cause trouble. If Yehua were to find out about this, his butt would definitely be smacked badly. Yi Zizi and Kai-yun were very helpless. They could only wait until tomorrow before leaving. But at least they could go out now. In a high-class restaurant in the Voidless Empire, there sat a well-dressed man. His eyes were like torches, and his face was exceptionally stylish, as though it was the work of the gods. However, this man was actually holding onto a cup of scarlet red wine in his hand. If someone who knew what was good was here, they would definitely exclaim in shock. Isn't this a goblet? Isn't that red wine inside? The man looked below. Countless people were currently fighting over the snake meat to eat, but the man did not. He looked towards the palace and revealed excitement in his eyes as he muttered. It has been 5 years. A whole 5 years. I finally found it. The man drank the cup of red wine fiercely, appearing to be exceptionally excited. He was called Yang Haotian. Back then, Yehua and Yi Zizi came here to fight, and after the fight, they went back. However, they caused Yang Haotian to suffer. Yang Haotian still remembered that day. When his red packet system gave him a notification, he immediately ran towards the destination. In the end, he did not even see a shadow, and the main mission of the red packet system froze from that day onwards. Furthermore, it froze for 5 years. I relied on doing side missions and now, I am already a dozun. If I could complete the main mission, I would at least be an overlord. Fortunately, a few months ago, his main mission finally responded. He rushed from the south to the north. The long journey even made him dizzy. After a period of observation, I have already confirmed it. The target is in the palace, a girl with 2 ponytails, and my red packet is stuck on her butt. As long as I remove the red packet on her butt, my mission will be completed. But from the looks of it now, that girl should be very strong. Not only that girl, everyone in the palace should be very strong, causing me to not make a move for a long time. I have been thinking about how to smoothly steal that girl's red packet, and the red packet is stuck on her butt. This red packet system is really a scam. But no matter what, he had to try tonight. At most, he could exchange for some items in the system, sneak in, and secretly remove the red packet before running away. No one would have guessed that it would happen without anyone noticing. Thinking of this, Yang Haotian made a decision. He could not continue waiting like this. Otherwise his system would be crippled. Because he had completed all the side quests, if he didn't start the main quest, he wouldn't even be able to complete the side quests. Then his system would be a piece of scrap metal. That's why I must remove that little girl's butt. Oh, that's not it. It was a red packet on his buttocks. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he would do it. Yang Haotian opened the system interface and looked at the remaining point certificates. He began to think about what kind of equipment he should buy in order to sneak in. However, he only had 7 points left. Yang Haotian propped himself up on the table and touched his chin. There was a little stubble on his chin. He had been too tired these few days. He didn't have that kind of invisibility magic treasure, so the inside of the palace was a tiger's den. If he was not careful, he would fall inside tonight. 7 point certificates. What can I buy with this amount of point certificates? I can't even afford to buy a single hair. Talking about sneaking into a scary place like the palace is simply wishful thinking. Suddenly, a bottle of spray appeared in the system interface. It was called deodorant. It only cost 5 points. Yang Haotian immediately opened the system interface and discovered that this deodorant seemed to be a little useful. It was able to get rid of any abnormal smell. It seems like other than this, I can't afford to buy anything else. After pondering for a while, Yang Haotian already made a decision. I'm going to treat a dead horse as a living horse. He directly used 5 point certificates to buy this bottle of deodorant. Then he went to buy some tools and prepared for the operation at night. As the night approached, Yang Haotian felt a little restless. All the tools were already prepared. Now he just had to wait for midnight. However, this period of time was the hardest to bear. Yang Haotian basically just walked back and forth. Right now, even though he was a dozun, he was still trembling from nervousness. Because the inside of the palace was simply an abyss, and I am going to sneak in tonight and steal the red packet. This is simply a crazy idea. Could it be that I don't have any other choice? There doesn't seem to be any other choice. As the night approached, Wushu Empire had already entered into silence, and the palace was the same as well. Right now, Yang Haotian was standing outside the walls of the palace with a roll of things in his hand. He was sneakily looking left and right, and with just a look, one could tell that he was here to be a thief. With a flip of his body, Yang Haotian entered into the palace. Just now, I nearly peed in my pants from fright. Luckily, I managed to enter. After entering the palace, Yang Haotian became even more nervous, fearing that there would be patrols coming over. However, here came the problem. This palace was not just an ordinary big palace, and the exact location of the palace was still unknown. Seems like I can only slowly explore it. It would be best if I get lucky tonight. If I don't get lucky, then I would be dead. In actuality, there were very few patrols in the palace, because there was basically no need for them. However, Yang Haotian couldn't use his cultivation technique, because he would be discovered. If he were to be discovered, then he would really be done for, and not just faking it. Suddenly, Yang Haotian saw an unusual living being and got a huge shock. He hurriedly opened the treasure in his hand, then stuck his entire body onto the wall, and raised both of his hands. A wallpaper that was exactly the same as the wall could be seen. The wallpaper stuck onto the wall and blended in very well. This was Yang Haotian's secret weapon. No choice, I am really too poor, and I can't think of any other way. I can only draw according to the walls of the palace, then spray deodorant on it. This is already the cheapest method. Hearing the light footsteps, Yang Haoyan was currently trembling with fear. He tried his best to remain calm and not let the wallpaper tremble. However, why is the sound of the footsteps so strange? It seems to have 4 legs. It is indeed 4 legs, the husky Yinlang. Yinlang could be seen walking with cheerful steps. Upon thinking about how he was going to go out with his master to have fun tomorrow, he felt bursts of excitement, causing him to be unable to fall asleep right now. What is this smell? Why is it so smelly? Yinlang sniffed. Why does it feel like there is a stench, such a pungent stench? Yinlang gradually walked towards Yang Haoyan, and this caused Yang Haoyan's heart to almost jump out. Please don't find me, Ziz. End of this chapter. Chapter 878. A strange sound rang out, and Yang Haoyan smelled a foul smell. It was not a normal kind of pungent smell, and it even splattered onto his feet. Damn it, it's a dog. Yinlang was indeed peeing, and after peeing he even shook his body, and the expression on his face was really very comfortable. After he was done, Yinlang gradually walked away. Yang Haoyan let out a breath. This deodorant is really quite effective, just that my feet. What kind of dog is this? Why is the smell so strong, too pungent? Just as Yang Haoyan was preparing to move, he suddenly heard a conversation. He immediately pulled his feet up again, and endured the pungent smell. Little brother, big brother didn't treat you badly tonight, right? Did you drink to your heart's content? Your mood is much better now, right? The people who came were precisely LV Liang and Yi Hong. Recently, Yi Hong's mood was a bit down. As for why he was down, it was because until now, he still hasn't gotten Zishan pregnant. Every time he saw Zishan's resentful gaze, Yi Hong would feel that he was sick, and that he needed to go to the male disease center to take a look. Burp, big brother, do you think that there's something wrong with me? Yi Hong asked drunkenly while holding on to LV Liang. LV Liang consoled. Little brother, just take it easy, which man doesn't have some sickness? I feel that I have prostate cancer. Yang Haoyan heard it. They actually know about prostate cancer, damn it. How is this possible? Big brother, I don't even dare to go back now. I feel that I have really let Zishan down. Even if she wants a child, I can't give it to her. Yi Hong sighed helplessly. As a man, I can't even satisfy such a small request of a woman. I feel guilty in my heart. LV Liang patted on the shoulder of his little brother and said carefully, don't have such thoughts. Maybe you are giving yourself too much pressure, causing the little tadpole to not be vigorous. Look at those 2 women at home. They are all letting nature take its course. Besides, it's not like you are the only one. Look at Do Fusher. Isn't he still the same after so many years? There's also Uncle Wei and Lai Gu. None of them got pregnant. How can a man get pregnant? Big brother, you must be mistaken. I am talking about their wives. Burp. I want to pee. Big brother, I want to pee too. Why does it feel so pungent? Yinlang definitely peed everywhere. Yi Hong muttered. Come, let's pee together. Cover up Yinlang's pungent smell. Yang Haoyan was speechless. Do you guys have to be so perverted, competing with a dog, damn it? I still have the red envelope system. How could I end up like this? After being peed on by a dog, I was peed on by a human. Can't you just pick the other side? Why are you fighting with a dog? How can there be such a person? Listening to the approaching footsteps, Yang Haoyan's face darkened. He could even imagine these 2 guys taking out their guns. He shot a stream of golden liquid at himself. F***CK. I, Yang Haoyan, am the Red Envelope Emperor, and I've been peed on twice today. This was simply a humiliation. He had been humiliated twice. Shameless. God, do they have to draw circles when they pee? Are you guys painting? Big brother, are my eyes playing tricks on me? The color of the wall seems to be fading. Yi Hong rubbed his eyes and felt that the red paint on the wall was a little blurry. Let me see, haha, seems like we drank too much. LV Shu laughed drunkenly. Yi Hong also grinned. The 2 of them peed for a full minute. Yang Haoyan had endured the longest minute of his life. In the future, I will never do such a thing again. After peeing, the two brothers walked away while holding onto each other's shoulders. After the two left, Yang Haoyan immediately threw away the drawing paper in his hand. This is so disgusting. Other than human pee, there is also dog pee. With such a smell mixed together, it simply makes me want to vomit. However, just as Yang Haoyan was ridiculing, a voice suddenly rang out beside his ear. Little brother, I'll give you the money. You lose. LV Shu laughed foolishly. Yihong was helpless as he took out a few gold coins and said, This is all I have. All of them are being controlled by Zishan. Forget it, who asked us to be brothers? Big brother will help you keep the rest of the money. LV Shu took away all of the gold coins, not leaving a single one behind. Yang Haoyan just looked at the two of them. They actually discovered me? How is this possible? At this time, Yunlang also walked back. That arrogant gaze of his seemed to be saying, Little brat, you still want to trick me with such insignificant tricks? Look at my sharp gaze. That is the legend of hungry wolves. Do you know what hungry wolves are? That kind of very hungry wolf. I reckon that you have never seen those fierce eyes of a hungry wolf before, right? Looking at the two people and one dog, Yang Haoyan felt that he had been tricked, and a monstrous rage gathered within his mind. I am the emperor. As the owner of the red packet system, when have I ever suffered such humiliation before? This is simply humiliation. He seems to be very angry, Yihong said in a low voice. LV Shu nodded her head and said in a low voice, If you were peed on twice, you would also be this angry. What you said seems to be very reasonable. Yang Haoyan did not retreat, instead he advanced towards the green and red brothers. He discovered that the way they dressed up was very strange. Why does it seem a bit like the non-mainstream? But when he took a closer look, it doesn't seem that way anymore. Just like that green hair. Why does he look like a clown? It is that clown from Batman, the very handsome one, and his hairstyle is exactly the same. As for that red hair, I won't comment anymore. But right now, I, Yang Haoyan, am going to seek justice for myself. This is the dignity of a man, therefore, I have to get back my face. Today, I will let them experience the power of me, the Red Packet Emperor. I will let you all know what is called high-end operation. Plop! Yang Haoyan directly kneeled down and shouted out, Big brother, please spare me. LV Shu, Yihong. Even Erha had a stupefied look on his face. Just a moment ago, the two of them were so imposing, and it was as if they were going to start a fight at any moment of disagreement. But in the end, the moment they walked over, the two of them actually kneeled down. I have never seen such an operation before. The green and red brothers were simply flabbergasted from head to toe. Big brother, what do we do? Just a moment ago, Yihong was prepared to fight, but in the end, this fellow directly kneeled down. Even LV Shu was a bit unable to withstand it. This kneel was simply world-shaking. The atmosphere just a moment ago was so heavy, and it was as if both of them were going to perish together. But in the end, after this kneel, the atmosphere that was created instantly disappeared. What is this? Can you not be more careful? Can you not operate it like this? It is full of tricks. Big brother, I didn't sneak in on purpose. I really have an urgent matter to attend to. You all have to believe me. I also have no other choice. Yang Haoyan began to plead painfully. After observing, he discovered that none of the people here could be provoked, and fighting with them was completely the same as seeking death. In the new year, I wish everyone to become rich, lose weight, and have a lot of girlfriends. End of this chapter. Chapter 879. Thus, after meeting someone, I can only offer my knees and let them know how deep my sincerity is. What urgent matter do you have? Don't you know that this is the palace? Trespassing is a crime punishable by death. Yihong said gravely, This is the first man who dared to trespass into the palace. I really don't know if this is courage or stupidity. This morning, millions of people died at the city gate, and he still dares to trespass into the palace. Could it be that there really is an urgent matter? Yang Haoyan scolded in his heart. I already offered my knees. What else do you want? Let me go. Big brother, I really have something to do. If not, why would I trespass into the palace? What urgent matter, tell us? LV Liang asked curiously. Yang Haotian pursed his lips, thinking about whether he should tell the truth or not. Seeing that Yang Haotian was thinking, LV Liang said coldly, "What kind of lie are you thinking? Then let me tell you. Your head will be hung on the city gate tower and exposed to the sun for 3 days and 3 nights. It's frozen," Yang Haotian said softly. "Big brother, it's frozen, not exposed to the sun. Don't mind these details, Big brother is just describing it." After speaking, LV Liang shouted towards Yang Haotian, "Quickly speak. If not, I will kill you." "Big brother, I will speak." Yang Haotian didn't care so much anymore, because entering the palace means death. I might as well take a gamble. Who knows, a bicycle might turn into a motorcycle. Yang Haotian said weakly, "Actually, I dropped something in the palace." LV Liang and Yi Hong revealed a sinister smile. "Seems like you want to be exposed." "It's true, I didn't lie to you." "Then tell us, what did you drop?" LV Liang asked curiously. Yang Haotian took a deep breath. "It's a red packet." "Red packet?" LV Liang and Yi Hong were both stupefied. This is the first time they met someone who came to die for a red packet. "Aren't you a little too weird?" "Then where is your red packet?" Yi Hong asked curiously. It's on a little girl with 2 ponytails." Hearing this, LV Liang and Yi Hong immediately knew who it was. So it was Yi Zizi who snatched someone else's red packet. And now, that person is coming to look for her. This is hard to say. His Honor is using a soft policy. If Yi Zizi really snatched someone else's red packet, the red packet will have to be returned. "How did your red envelope get stolen?" LV Shu still wanted to know. "Big brother, my red packet flew randomly. It just happened to stick on that little girl's butt." "What? On the buttocks?" LV Liang and Yi Hong exclaimed. "Yi Zizi's butt is simply a devil's butt. I reckon that only His Honor would dare to spank Yi Zizi's butt. Other people shouldn't even think about it. This man actually wants to steal the red packet from Yi Zizi's butt. Will he succeed or not?" It seemed like something fun was about to happen. Maybe I should inform Uncle Wei first. It seemed like it was necessary. Recently, everyone was quite bored, and it just so happened that there was a bold one. He wanted to touch Yi Zizi's butt. Heavens, he actually had such a terrifying idea. "Uncle Wei, there's a situation." LV Liang hurriedly shouted. Wei Chong was currently hugging on to Tang Wei to sleep. The pitiful Tang Wei had not even been touched by Wei Chong till now. Tang Wei felt that Uncle Wei was actually not a man. "What's the situation?" "There's an intruder. Just kill him directly. Why are you calling me?" Wei Chong said confusedly. "But he has a terrifying idea." Wei Chong opened his eyes, then sat up and asked, "Could it be that he wants to assassinate His Honor?" "It's even more terrifying than that," LV Liang said gravely. "Then what is it?" "He wants to touch Yi Zizi's butt." Wei Chong. Good fellow, his guts are too big. If Yang Haotian knew what they were talking about, he would definitely shout out that he was wronged. "When did I say that I want to touch someone else's butt? I am obviously just trying to steal a red packet. It's not what you all think." Wei Chong immediately got up from the bed. He found it hard to believe that someone sneaked into the palace just to touch Yi Zizi's butt. This is too interesting. Could it be that he is Yi Zizi's pursuer? His courage is commendable. We have to properly check on him. Wei Chong immediately contacted everyone. And after LV Liang and Yi Hong received the order, an evil smile appeared on their faces. Yang Haotian immediately felt that something was wrong. "I can spare you, and you can even continue to look for red packets, but you have to fight with one of us," LV Liang said seriously. Yang Haotian's heart sunk to the bottom. "I can't even win against them. How am I supposed to fight with them? Then does he count?" Yang Haotian pointed at Yun Lang and said, "In front of me, I guess." LV Liang sighed. "Are you going to choose a dog as your opponent? Please don't choose him. Look at Yun Lang. Right now he is showing an expression of I am very cute, I am very stupid. Quickly come and choose me." However, Yang Haotian immediately pointed at Yun Lang and said, "I choose him." LV Liang and Yi Hong immediately covered their faces. Yun Lang's strength is above theirs, And you idiot actually chose the strongest one. Yin Lang immediately licked his lips, then roared towards the sky. Well, no matter what, Yang Haotian was a dozun. Although he had just reached rank 1, he was still a well-known figure. LV Liang and Yi Hong could be seen retreating to one side, while Yang Haotian stood up and took out his weapon. This was a harpoon. Sea Slayer Long Li. The harpoon was golden in color, with a 3-pronged head, and emitted a surging aura. Seems like it was just a prehistoric godly item. This weapon is not bad, it looks like Maserati's logo. Yi Hong, who was at the side, said in a low voice. You don't say, it really does look like it. LV Liang also agreed. Yang Haotian raised the beheading sea dragon glass in his hand, and suddenly stabbed it into the ground. The blue stone on the ground immediately cracked, and the cracks spread to the surroundings. LV Liang immediately shouted, Destroying the palace, you are finished. Yang Haotian had originally created quite an imposing manner, but after saying those words, his imposing manner completely disappeared. He even put his hands together and said, Big brother, I didn't do it on purpose just now, it's just a habit. Remember to pay up. Yi Hong warned. Yang Haotian felt helpless in his heart. These people are too stingy, do I have to pay up even for this? There is nothing to pay attention to in a 1v1 duel. Yang Haotian once again waved the beheading sea dragon glass in his hand, and a gust of astral wind blew over, causing people to be terrified. Looking at LV Liang and Yi Hong, they were both shivering from this gust of cold wind. Yin Lang squatted on the ground, picking his ears from time to time. He really did not care about Yang Haotian at all. Yang Haotian did not hold back anymore. Today he must kill this silly husky. He was going to go all out for the red packet. At most, he would be labeled as inhumane by the Animal Association. Go to hell, silly husky. Yang Haotian mercilessly attacked Yin Lang with the beheading sea dragon glass in his hand. What is Yin Lang? He is a silly husky. What does a silly husky do? He demolishes houses. Look at this silly husky's eyes. Don't you have to be more careful when you go out? Chapter 880. Although Yin Lang didn't want to demolish the house, he could demolish other things and achieve his goal. Yin Lang slowly stood up and looked at Yang Haotian, who was attacking him, as well as the shiny sea-slaying dragon glass. Yin Lang opened his mouth and bit onto the sea-slaying dragon glass. This caused Yang Haotian to be stupefied. His primordial godly item was actually bitten by a dog. How was this possible? This weapon was exchanged from the system and used 100,000 points. That was a very terrifying number. He saved for a long time to exchange for it. Let go. Yang Haotian couldn't help but shout. This dog actually didn't let go and bit it tightly. How was this possible? What were his teeth and mouth made of? Why were they so powerful? Yin Lang let out a low growl and bit it tightly without letting go. Yang Haotian really couldn't do anything, he couldn't pull it out. The other party's strength was obviously greater than his. It's over, it's over. Right at that moment, Yin Lang's body emitted a terrifying aura, scaring Yang Haotian so much that he didn't even want to keep his weapon, and directly distanced himself. Yang Haotian looked at Yin Lang in shock. Is this really a dog? Yin Lang clearly revealed a smile. He actually wanted to touch his masters, but who gave him the courage to do that? Kacha. The sea-slaying dragon glass let out a crisp sound. Yang Haotian was stupefied. This husky actually broke his own weapon with his teeth. How was that possible? Are his teeth a primordial godly item? To be able to easily bite off a primordial godly item. Yang Haotian just watched as Yin Lang chewed. The sea-slaying dragon glass was slowly swallowed into Yin Lang's stomach. It didn't even leave any scraps for him. That was 100,000 points. Even if it was demolishing the house, it shouldn't be like this, my god. I'm really regretting choosing this dog. It even swallowed a primordial godly item. Burp. Yin Lang let out a satisfied burp, indicating that he was full. LV Liang saw that it was about time. Anyways, this fellow couldn't beat anyone. Alright, you can go. LV Liang said. Yang Haotian's first feeling was that it was fake. When he turned around, he would definitely launch a sneak attack. Brother, my competition isn't over yet. It's not appropriate to end it like this. Yang Haotian was heartbroken. But as long as he could get a red packet, a harpoon was worth it. Hurry up and leave. Don't make me change my mind. Goodbye, big brother. After saying that, young Haotian turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared. His speed was as fast as a wife giving birth at home. Yihong laughed. Damn, this guy runs really fast. Who's next? It seems to be Mage Brother. He is really unlucky. Yihong shook her head, then planned to go home with LV Tao. Young Haotian did not know how long he had been running. Suddenly, he saw a black shadow in front of him and immediately braked. It was a black figure holding a sickle and wearing a black robe. Young Haotian took a deep breath as if he was waiting for him. When Death Mage raised his head, young Haotian was startled. This was an undead. There is actually an undead in Wushu Empire? How is this possible? Young Haotian didn't have any aversion towards other races. After being slightly shocked, he felt relieved. A group of monsters was originally living in the palace, and an undead was nothing much. Even if a legendary race were to appear, it would also be normal. With no other choice, young Haotian could only take out an ancient godly equipment. It was better than nothing. Death Mage was also sizing up young Haotian to see just who dares to touch a tiger's butt. Right now, the person is standing beside me, but why do I feel that he seems to be very weak? To want to touch his zizis, but with that body of his, he is overestimating himself. Come. Young Haotian pointed his sword at Death Mage. And Death Mage naturally wouldn't use magic. As a mage, the heart of close combat cannot be abandoned. Therefore, Death Mage waved the sickle in his hand and looked at young Haotian. Young Haotian suddenly placed his left hand on his right wrist. If I want to win against Death Mage, I have to use my trump card. Bloom. Giant leaf. The long sword in young Haotian's hand could be seen emitting a ray of light, and in an instant, it turned into a green leaf. However, don't be fooled by this, the giant leaf is not a joke. Die. Young Haotian waved the gigantic leaf in his hand, and slammed it towards Death Mage. A powerful aura suppressed Death Mage. What kind of martial skill could Death Mage have? He immediately raised the death scythe in his hand. Boom. The gigantic leaf slammed onto the death scythe. However, at this moment, Death Mage suddenly disappeared. Young Haotian's heart sank as a sense of danger assaulted him. Without any hesitation, he threw the giant leaf behind him. A terrifying astral wind was formed and instantly smashed the surrounding walls. A loud noise suddenly rang out in the imperial palace. Outside of Yi Hua's sleeping palace, Daji's expression sank. She used a barrier to protect herself, so as to not disturb her master's rest. Master was tired just now. My heart really aches for Master. Death Mage stood at the side and looked at the wall that was knocked down. GGG Royal Translator. You actually destroyed public facilities. You're really bold. Young Haotian didn't care so much. He waved his right hand again. This time it was like a palm leaf fan. Death Mage raised the scythe in his hand, then ruthlessly swung it down. A crescent-shaped blade aura attacked towards young Haotian. Young Haotian rolled and dodged. The saber chi destroyed a part of the palace in an instant, and a rumbling sound rang out. Death Mage was stunned. Young Haotian went into a daze for a moment, then pointed at Death Mage and laughed out loud. You're done for, destroying the imperial palace. Just as he finished speaking, young Haotian felt something was wrong. This guy was releasing his killing intent. It was all his fault for talking too much. Why did he have to laugh at it? Death Mage raised his death scythe and slashed towards young Haotian. Young Haotian was not afraid at all, because he discovered a problem. This Death Mage is so weak, I can completely block him. Death Mage's close combat skills were not very strong to begin with. Back then, he was even killed by Xiao Yi. And the current young Haotian was much stronger than Xiao Yi, so it was very easy for him to fight against Death Mage. Although it was easy, the surrounding walls and other things were all destroyed. If Yi Hua were to see his imperial palace becoming like this, would he become the second emperor to die from anger? At the very least, when Yi Hua sees it tomorrow morning, he will definitely fly into a rage. None of the people who participated tonight will be spared. Right now, young Haotian was getting more and more relaxed, causing Death Mage to be unhappy. I can only fight to a draw in close combat. I don't want to play anymore. A lightning could be seen shooting out from Death Mage's bony finger. This sudden move caused Yang Haoyan to be unable to react, and his entire body was electrocuted. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Yang Haoyan's entire body was trembling, and his entire body was filled with electric current. Yang Haoyan's bones could even be seen, and his hair was gradually becoming taller and taller, and his clothes were starting to emit smoke. Chapter 881. Omega, 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 choking with sobs. Novel. He was electrocuted for a full minute. Yang Haoyan spat out a mouthful of black smoke. His face was dirty and he had an afro. His clothes were also emitting green smoke. You're cheating. Yang Haoyan cursed shamelessly. They were clearly fighting well, but he actually used such a despicable move. Although Yang Haoyan was cursing, he was still shocked. That bolt of lightning was terrifying. Fortunately, he was wearing magic resistance equipment today. Otherwise, he would have been seriously injured. This undead was probably going easy on them. Death Mage did not want to waste any more time, and immediately disappeared from where he was standing. I have played enough, I don't want to kill him. Looking at Death Mage leaving just like that, Yang Haoyan felt very uncomfortable, as if he was being teased by someone. But for the red packet, it was worth it even if she was humiliated by a man. Yang Haoyan calmed himself down, and did not run out of the palace. No matter what, he had to get the red envelope today. If I don't take the red envelope, I would rather die. It had to be said that Yang Haoyan was indeed amazing. He dared to barge into such a terrifying place alone. However, this group of people was also leading the way. They were very curious about Yi Zizi's reaction. Of course, they were also very curious about how Yang Haoyan had touched Yi Zizi's butt. That scene should be very exciting. As Yang Haoyan continued forward, he suddenly saw two figures. However, these two figures were a little strange. Cough, cough, cough. Yang Haoyan couldn't help but cough a few times. You guys are too hasty in doing this. Beside the wall, a beautiful figure was kissing a man in a domineering manner. Yang Haoyan, who was electrocuted inside and out, felt embarrassed. These two people were naturally Do Fusher and Soul departing. Drifting Soul was still as infatuated with Do Fusher as always. After waiting for a long time, he still did not see Do Fusher. Fortunately, they started kissing. Honey, honey, she's here. Don't mind him. Kiss me again. It's so embarrassing to have an outsider here. I'll let you kiss me all you want when we get back. Alright then, hurry up. Got it, got it. Drifting Soul released Do Fusher and stood at the side to watch the battle, while Do Fusher slowly walked towards Yang Haoyan. When he saw Yang Haoyan's appearance, Do Fusher was stunned for a moment before he started laughing. The Green and Red brothers were already non-mainstream enough, but this person was simply a true non-mainstream. That afro was simply a symbol. The corner of Yang Haoyan's mouth twitched slightly. It was such a serious scene, but he was laughing so hard that he was convulsing. It was really infuriating. I'm sorry, your appearance is too shocking. It's like you've been electrocuted. Yes, I was electrocuted just now. I poked your sore spot. Cut the crap, let's get started. Yang Haoyan said in a deep voice. Today, he had to overcome all the obstacles, and then take away the red envelope that belonged to him. Wait a minute, fighting is actually boring. Why don't we play something else? What are we playing? Yang Haoyan asked curiously. Do Fusher took out a mysterious item and said with a smile, Landlord. Yang Haoyan was shocked. They actually knew how to fight the landlord. How could it be? Could it be that they were from the same hometown? Do you dare to play? All right. Wife, come here quickly. We need one more. Hubby, I'm coming. The three of them sat on the ground, and Floating Do started shuffling the cards. He smiled and said, the winner can use this to hit the opponent. After saying that, Do Fusher took out a hammer, on which were written 100000T, but looking at the shape of the hammer, it looked like a balloon. Yang Haoyan thought to himself, you guys are too much of a joke. I'll play with you guys then. Back in the day, Yang Haoyan was an expert in fighting the landlord. After shuffling the cards, The three of them started playing. However, young Haotian finally knew what fighting the landlord was. This was the shameless fighting the landlord. Damn, how could it end like this in fighting the landlord? 3 can beat 2 kings? Who are you kidding? How dare you say it's 3-2? There was actually no way to refute it. Haha, I won. As the host, Drifting Soul clapped happily. Young Haotian said in a deep voice, I will definitely win the next round. Drifting Soul held his breath and picked up the 100,000 T black hammer at the side. Hubby. Do Fusher pouted and Drifting Soul kissed him sweetly. This was a good show of affection. Young Haotian clenched his fists tightly. Come on. Drifting Soul raised the hammer with a sinister smile. I'm coming, be careful. Young Haotian said disdainfully. If I make a sound, I'll be your grandson. Ah. Just as he finished speaking, young Haotian couldn't help but make a sound and his whole body flew out. If one looked down from the palace, they would see something playing through the wall. Wife, you're too ruthless. Do Fusher shivered. Who told him to be so arrogant? Drifting Soul snorted. Not even I'll beat you until you scream. Not long after, young Haotian walked over. His clothes were tattered like a few rags hanging on his body. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, but it wasn't a big deal. For a Dozun, this little injury was nothing. But this was a psychological injury. Young Haotian felt like dying. Grandson, you're back so soon. Let's continue. Drifting Soul said happily. Young Haotian felt embarrassed. He had just finished speaking and he was slapped in the face. But this time, young Haotian will not lose. I've already figured out the rules. Young Haotian was still too young. When his sky explosion was destroyed by 119, his whole body seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Is this F***king fight the landlord? Was this rule invented by you all? No, this is a new type of fight the landlord that His Honor invented. Ordinary people will not be able to understand it. In short, in this type of fight the landlord, whoever is more powerful will have the final say. Husband. Do Fusher pouted his mouth helplessly, and then Drifting Soul kissed him. Meanwhile, young Haotian, who was at the side, suddenly felt very envious of this man. Seeing that the woman raised the hammer again, young Haotian hurriedly said, Female comrade, be gentler. All right. This time, Drifting Soul picked up the hammer and slammed it down. Bang. Young Haotian's entire body was smashed onto the ground. The scene was simply too horrible to look at. Young Haotian wanted to cry but had no tears. If only I could be smashed to death. The problem is, I have the body of a Dozun. How is it possible for me to be smashed to death? I was actually humiliated by a woman. I'm so angry. Stop pretending and continue. Drifting Soul snorted. I am very clear that nothing will happen to young Haotian. Young Haotian immediately sat up. Oh. This sound seems so helpless. This is a kind of abandonment towards life. Since I am unable to resist, then I'll just accept it. A trace of blood flowed out from young Haotian's nose, and young Haotian himself didn't know about it. Do Fusher pointed at his nose and told young Haotian that his nose is bleeding. Young Haotian rubbed his nose. This is so embarrassing. In the next half an hour, young Haotian suffered from physical and mental devastation. Baidu search 881 Chinese website yen. Chapter 882. When he saw the two demons leave, young Haotian wanted to laugh out loud. He would never play landlord again. If he played again, he would chop off his hands. At this moment, young Haotian was already in an extremely sorry state. His afro was covered in dust, and his cloth-like robe was undoubtedly showing off his lifestyle. How casual, how sloppy. Looking at the poker cards on the ground, young Haotian stepped on them. Pa. He had no choice but to bully the poker cards. F***ck. Damn landlord. I will never play cards again. You bunch of bullies. If it wasn't for the red packet, I wouldn't have suffered such humiliation. I can use 119 for a king bomb. If I use sky bomb, you guys can still call 911. Why don't you call 110? F***ck. I have never seen such a bully. These animals, I hate you. Young Haotian stomped on the ground and created a huge pit. Only then did he vent his anger. Otherwise, it would be too uncomfortable. Heaving a sigh of relief, Yang Haotian looked at the night sky and decided to move forward. Since he was already so humiliated, it didn't matter. Suddenly, Yang Haotian stopped in his tracks. A cold wind blew in the darkness. A sense of danger caused Yang Haotian to take out his weapon and look around vigilantly. Who is it? Come out. Yang Haotian shouted. I didn't expect you to be able to sense it. Interesting. A voice sounded in the air. It was Whitebones. At this moment, Yang Haotian's face was solemn. His mind was frantically thinking. What the hell was this? An invisibility technique? But why couldn't he sense any aura? Could it be another type of invisibility technique? That shouldn't be the case. Even if it was invisibility, there would be flaws. I know what you are thinking. Don't think too much. It's useless. Whitebones said calmly. Every time he met an enemy, they would think about where he was. But they would never guess that he was part of the air. Before Yang Haotian could react. Pooh. Yang Haotian's arm was slashed. Yang Haotian didn't even have time to react. He was stunned. At that moment, Yang Haotian couldn't sense any aura at all. What the hell was this? Blood flowed from his arm. However, Yang Haotian didn't care about the wound. He couldn't think normally. Shwa. There was also a cut on his other arm and blood flowed out. If you don't resist, you will die here. Whitebones said with a smile. This man was a little interesting. He actually stood there without moving. If it was someone else, they would have panicked long ago. In fact, Yang Haotian was already panicking. It was just that he didn't show it on his face. Initially, he had thought that the Wushu Empire was already very impressive. But to think that there would be such a character in the Wushu Empire. He had never seen it before. Swish swish swish, 3 wounds instantly appeared on Yang Haotian's body. And blood was already flowing on the ground. Who are you? Yang Haotian asked. He felt that he was going to die here today. Me? I am just an insignificant person. There are many people who are more powerful than me. Whitebones said indifferently. These words were still very low-key. After all, back then, Whitebones was able to escape unscathed from Yi Hua's hands. Having such a record was already very impressive. Impossible. You must be one of the main members here. Yang Haotian only had some flesh wounds. Whitebones didn't really use its full strength. If it really did, Yang Haotian would have already died. After all, tonight, they were going to see how Yang Haotian would touch Yeezy's butt. This was the most interesting thing in recent years. Whitebones suddenly laughed. What main member? I am not the main member. Don't think too much, resist a bit, let me be a bit more excited. You. Yang Haotian was furious. He held the sword in his hand and slashed randomly. Streaks of sword chi engulfed the palace, and a large portion of the walls instantly collapsed. However, he wasn't able to hit anything. Instead, the wounds on his body increased. Suddenly, Yang Haotian stopped moving. If you want to kill me, then kill me. I am not playing anymore. There was no reply in the air. Come. Kill me, come. Yang Haotian roared. Ever since he had the system, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? In his own empire, who wouldn't be respectful to him? If he reached the supreme realm, then he would be able to sit on the same level as Broken Vein Mountain and Deity Academy. How glorious would that be? But if he didn't get the red packet on his butt, everything else was just a delusion. Damned Wusu Empire, why were there so many perverts? At the start, there were 2 drunkards and a husky. He simply couldn't understand their thoughts. Why were they so strange? Especially that dog, it actually ate his 100,000 point certificates. Then he met an undead. He was clearly a mage, yet he wanted to pretend to be a warrior to fight against him. In the end, he was almost killed by a bolt of lightning. He was simply too shameless. Then he met 2 strange lovers. He had never seen anyone who could play landlord in such a way. Why were they so outstanding? He was even hammered by that woman many times, to the point that his head was dizzy. Then he met an even more perverted one. He was a dozun, yet he couldn't even sense a trace of aura. Yet countless wounds appeared on his body. Although they were all superficial wounds, the pain was in his heart. Yang Haoyan took out some external injury medicine and applied it on his wounds. Very quickly, the bleeding stopped. He took a deep breath. Just what was the background of that twin-tailed girl? Would she be stronger than them? Probably not. Perhaps she was someone's child. As long as he captured her and took the red packet, he could bid farewell to her and never come back to this damned place again. With this crazy thought, Yang Haoyan continued to walk. The belief in his heart had supported him until now. If it was someone else, they would have long been tortured to the point of collapse. At the very least, they would have gone crazy. After walking for a short while, Yang Haoyan saw a figure standing not far away. He's here. He's here again. What the hell is this time? Is he trying to humiliate my dignity again? Don't even think about it. Yang Haoyan directly took out his sword, unleashed the aura of a dozun, and slashed at the figure. Boom. A powerful shockwave caused the surrounding walls to collapse. However, Yang Haoyan was stunned. His sword was stabbed at his chest, but it couldn't pierce through. Yang Haoyan slowly raised his head and looked at the face of a middle-aged uncle. He was a little handsome, and there was even a smile on his face. I'm about to kill you, yet you're still smiling. Can't you give me some dignity? Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. Wei Chang laughed softly. Yang Haoyan wanted to cry. He actually told him not to be afraid. Why wouldn't I be afraid? I came here alone to be bullied and abused. If you were to try it, you would probably have already collapsed. Baidu search 881 Chinese network yen. No advertising words. Chapter 883. You can either directly kill me, or tell me the location of that twin-tails girl. Yang Haoyan roared at Wei Chang. I am no longer afraid of death. I can play however I want to, isn't it just death? Without the system's assistance, I would rather die. Then tell me why? Wei Chang asked faintly. Not knowing why, Yang Haoyan felt that this man seemed to be protecting that twin-tails girl. Could it be? It's her dad. It's very possible. Looking at his age, if it's really her dad, then even the heavens are helping me. Yang Haoyan had an idea, because I love her. Hearing Yang Haoyan's words, Wei Chang's eyes gradually widened, as if he had seen a ghost. What did you just say? Wei Chang was shocked. This man barged into Wushu Empire's palace in the middle of the night, just to confess to Yizizi? F***K. This young man is awesome. Yang Haoyan clearly saw the shock, and this shock came from a father. That's right. I love her, that's why I came. No matter if it's a dragon's den or a tiger's den, I, Yang Haoyan, will go crazy for love. Yang Haoyan slightly raised his head, and it just so happened to be at a 45 degrees angle, as if he was telling a story of infatuation that could make people cry. Ugh, a retching sound suddenly sounded out in the air. Yang Haoyan pursed his lips. What I said just now seemed to have gone a bit too far, too mushy. But for the sake of the red packet, so be it if it's mushy. In any case, I'm even prepared to die. Wei Chang suddenly laughed out loud. Little brother, I can tell you where she is. Really? Yang Haoyan immediately became excited. As expected of my father-in-law, he is very wise. Of course, but what I want to say is, how deep do you love her? Wei Chang asked curiously. Before Yang Haoyan finished speaking, Wei Chang interrupted him, and one of his hands reached into his crotch and started searching. Seeing this action of his father-in-law, Yang Haoyan was a bit absent-minded. What do you mean by this? This action is too sloppy, right? Wei Chang could be seen taking out a big bug. The bug's legs were like centipedes, and its body was covered with a black carapace. There were 2 feelers on its forehead, and it had a lot of eyes, but they were very small. If a person with phobia saw these small eyes, they would definitely have a feeling of vomiting. These small eyes were moving irregularly, and the whole face was filled with small eyes. It was really creepy. Yang Haoyan thought that he was very awesome. After all, he was a dozun. However, when he saw this worm, he couldn't help but want to vomit. This was the most disgusting worm in the world. This is called 100 million bug. It's not poisonous and harmless. Although it looks a little disgusting, it tastes pretty good. Wei Chang said with a faint smile. The worm in his hand was at least the size of 2 palms, like a doll. Even a doll would not be so disgusting. Young Haotian retched. How dare you say that it tastes good? Only a ghost would eat this. Wei Chong stretched out the 100 million bugs and said softly, the more you love her, the more you eat. I will tell you the location. And I promise that no one will stop you. The more I love her, the more I will eat her. Young Haotian suddenly regretted. It would be better to be whipped. Even if it was tied up in Asia, it would still be acceptable. But eating this? Are you serious? Can't I eat something else? Young Haotian asked weakly. I have given you the chance, you better grasp it. If not, today hee. Wei Chong said in a low voice, and his tone was filled with warning. Following Wei Chang's words, Young Haotian's expression became very ugly. This thing is disgusting just by looking at it. How am I supposed to eat it? This is simply like a large fecal worm. Above the sky, all of Yi Zizi's subordinates were present. Even Lai Gu was present, and there was also Zhu Tian and the others. Damn, Wei Chong brought out a disgusting thing again. Lai Gu couldn't help but ridicule. Let's take a guess, will this person eat it or not? How about it? Brett said with a playful tone. I don't think he will eat it, right? It's too disgusting. Zishan mumbled. She didn't even want to look at that worm anymore. I also feel that if he really eats it, it would definitely be true love. Sun Fong mumbled. Don't even talk about eating it. Just looking at it makes one feel despair. LV Lu let out a light sigh. This fellow is truly pitiful. That's right, he actually likes Yi Zizi. My god, he even fell in love with her. Do Fusher was unable to understand. Yi Zizi is simply a demon incarnate. I feel that this fellow will definitely be beaten to death. Interesting. I am really curious to see Yi Zizi's expression. Kaiyan was very curious to see how Yi Zizi would react. For a man to suddenly say that he loves her, just thinking about it makes me feel that it is rather interesting. Yu Hua said with a smile. However, this man is still very courageous, knowing that there is only death waiting for him. He still came to look for Yi Zizi. His courage is commendable. The courage of an ignorant man. Luo Ho laughed lightly as he slowly waved the folding fan in his hand. Yang Haotian, who was below, didn't know that his every move was being grasped, and right now, he was struggling frantically in his heart. Hurry up and decide, you can go after eating it. Wei Chong patted onto Igu's head and said with a smile. Can't I really change to another one? Do you really want to change to another one? Wei Chong asked with a naughty smile. Seeing Wei Chang's naughty smile, Yang Haotian immediately shook his head. No need, there's no need to change to another one. Who knows what I will do if you change to an even more disgusting one later on. There isn't a single normal person here. I will eat it. Yang Haotian made up his mind. For the sake of getting the red packet, I am starting to lose my bottom line more and more. Very good, it can be seen that your love is really deep. Deep my ass, to hell with love, I just want to get the red packet, for the red packet. I can do all kinds of things, I can do without any bottom line. Catch it. Wei Chong threw the igu in his hand towards Yang Haotian. Everyone who was standing in the air subconsciously leaned backwards, seemingly wanting to throw the igu to themselves. Even the subordinates had such a reaction, and Yang Haotian was the same as well. However, he had no choice but to stretch out his hand and hold onto the igu. Holding onto the igu, I can feel my scalp going numb. Countless tentacles are crawling on my hand, and especially when the igu is looking at me, those countless eyes are enough to make me collapse. Yang Haotian's heart is in pain. There is even hair on the carapace, my god. There is even hair on the carapace. Yang Haotian could even imagine that as long as I bite onto the carapace later on, that green liquid would spurt out. Or maybe it would be some other kind of liquid. In any case, it would be a disgusting thing. Can I roast it? Yang Haotian asked weakly. There won't be any nutrition if you roast it. Eating it raw is good for the body. Good my ass. You rotten old man, you are very bad. Yang Haotian took a deep breath and looked at the igu in his hand. Should I eat it from the head or from the buttocks? The internal organs can be spat out, right? Yang Haotian asked curiously. You're tuning into the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.